All right, yeah, we're live. This is going to be kind of a episode, but not really. It's more just a stream. We're hanging out, we're studying up, and I thought that we could all study together. Ben is going to join us, and we're going to be reading this book. It's called Project L.U.C.I.D. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I read it for you. Don't worry. I got a lot of stuff underlined. And it lays out a lot of stuff going on today. It's going to be the prelude to a lot of things that I'll be speaking about in the next over the weekend. And yeah, maybe Ben will join us again. But yeah, welcome on, Ben. How we doing?
Hey, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to come on here. I love getting together and talking about crazy stuff. And in this case, I shouldn't say this, but scary, crazy stuff when you kind of get into the mindset of these people, where it all stemmed from, and what they're actually trying to do with this digital surveillance state that Project L.U.C.I.D kind of, brings to the forefront, and it's where it stems from. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. I'm excited. And as you said, a little scared. Yeah, it's some crazy shit, man. And everybody that wrote about this stuff that we're researching are dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not alive today. This particular guy, it's kind of ironic. He died right before COVID, which I think is a little weird considering that he wrote a lot about this whole merging man with technology and it being a part of the beast system. And of course, we know about the poke, right? So, weird. So yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've actually thought about this because we know that they want to kill off a lot of people for the utopian society, right? That they're trying to build, or should I say dystopian society? Yeah, it depends on what side of the coin you're on. But who are they actually going to go after? I think they're going to go after the people who don't like AI. I think they're going to go after the old generation who is incompatible with this technological revolution. I'm not old, but I'm in that. And because unless you can play ball, you're of no use to them. And I think they're going to get rid of us somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to try my best to refrain from speaking about something I've been literally researching for the past like a week. All day I've been typing about it. So it's going to be hard not to talk about it, but it goes into this first. But exactly what you're talking about, only the initiated will be going further into this new age of man. As the new age comes, these new agers, this golden age, only the people who are initiated are going to be the ones that make it. Only the new man survives. As Alice Bailey says, many are called, but few are chosen. And so I think that that's something to think about. Yeah,
it's crazy to hear these theosophists and how they view the layman or the uninitiated. I mean, it's similar to how the Shabbat people or the Kabbalists view non-Jews. It's the exact same thing.
No, it is. You don't have a soul if you're not initiated. That's literally something she says. You don't even have a soul.
Yeah, and I think that it's important, and I think we're going to see this moving forward as it gets crazier and crazier in the Middle East with the actions of Israel. You're going to see this breaking away of Jesus and the Old Testament, and it's going to be replaced with Christian Gnosticism. And I think what people got to realize about Christian Gnosticism, it sounds great, but it's just a different flavor of the same force that is behind Kabbalah. It's that mystic tradition, and one's painted as the white light and Kabbalah is painted as the black hat kind of dark thing. But I think they're the same thing, and we got to be careful of it. And like you said, just read what the theosophists viewed about the uninitiated. It's the same type of vile hatred that you find in the other place.
Oh yeah, there's an animal mind and a higher mind, and that's exactly how they view us. What's going on, Jack? What's going on, Morpheus? And how are we doing, Neff Hunter? Welcome. We're doing a little morning stream, and we're going to be studying together. This is not necessarily an episode, but it's actually going to be for members only. So here's how I'm going to be doing this. Everybody's been enjoying the free ride on YouTube, and I love you guys, and we're going to keep that going. But whenever I stream an episode, I'm going to stream it just like I am now. But when I'm done, it's going to go to members only until I release it on the free feed. And so we're going to do that with all the YouTube streams that I do for every episode. So, hey, catch us live. We're all good. If not, hey, join the little membership. It's, I keep it cheap, $3 on Patreon, wherever you go. Spotify, same thing. I've got our subscription set up on Spotify. It's all streamlined, and you get the full video on there. I downloaded it to Spotify so you guys could have that on there. Takes an extra couple minutes, but I got you. So we're all set. I just wanted to lay that out there because that's a new little system I got going on, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
I like it.
All right, cool. Let's get into this, dude. Project L.U.C.I.D. Texe Marrs was a pastor in Texas, but he was a huge conspiracy guy. And he started his work actually in the tech world. He was a writer. So he's always been a writer. He was writing for a magazine. And he was in the tech scene for a while. And of course, he was always a believer in God and everything. but he wasn't quite a pastor. So he talks about here. Look, this is a quote from him. A frightening behemoth is rising up from the depths of America. The hidden SS establishment, like a vast and monstrous silicon octopus, Project L.U.C.I.D is stretching forth its ominous and threatening high-tech tentacles. Multitudes of unsuspecting, helpless victims will very soon be encircled and crushed by Big Brother's new Gestapo police state. Who among us can possibly escape from the electronic cages now being prepared for all mankind? Now, people say panopticon a lot. That's what an electronic cage is. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, no. This is what I want to say, bro, before we go into this. What year was this written?
This was written in 1992, guys.
Think about
96,
that.
rather. So think about that. This was the year I was born, 30 years ago. I was born when this man wrote this book, and he knew what was coming then. He happened to have an inside knowledge with being in the tech world and speaking to these guys that were envisioning the future that they were building, and it was in the infancy, state, and he still saw it. So salvation is the only way is something I added in and annotated. Fear is of the devil, so live in love, and fear can't last. Because Amen. He says, who among us can escape from the cages? I don't want to black pill anybody. That's really the only truth I can find. And that just saying, fear
hey, listen, we should black pill people, but we should give them a glass of the Holy Spirit to wash it down with.
That's what I got Ben here for.
Our God, our creator, his spirit is not one of fear. And he actually allows us to see the world as is, the truth, the darkness within it, and still operate freely out of love and joy. So as we're discussing this stuff, I think it's important to remember, just put our faith in God. At this point, this is all we can do. Because like you said, this was talked about in 1992, 96, who actually saw this firsthand, actually formulating. And then to read this and then watch the last 3 or 4 years, and maybe even before that, but specifically the last 3 or 4 years, you see this come into fruition. You're like, get ready, because the end game is not going to be fun.
No. And very much, he mentions that we should touch on that. He talks about a Gestapo police state. And understand, we've spoken a lot with Tim, right? Constantine. Mm-hmm. He thinks all this stems from World War II. Palantir ran by Peter Thiel with a grandpa who worked as a chemical engineer for the Nazis. So this is next generation Nazi, Skull and Bones. J.D. Vance with Skull and Bones. We know this. We've went over this on the show. So he knew this too, though. So this is not like these are multiple people finding the same results. That is the scientific method at work. We're all researching different stuff and finding the same answers. Well, then I don't know, man. That seems like that's the fucking answer, right? Like that's kind of how science works. And so, I trust science as far as that goes. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing. How this is actually reminding me of a guy that I know. So his experience in the tech world, and he believed in God, but after writing this book and realizing what was going on, you said that he became a pastor because he got into their plans and what they want to roll out, and he saw how sinister it is. It reminded me of this guy I know who claims his brother actually worked at Area 51 a long time ago. He couldn't talk about it at all. The brother never talked about it, but he said he went in an atheist, only lasted for 4 years, and came out a Christian. So their plans, and when you're initiated in that, not initiated, but when you see their plans a long time ago, it leads to one thing, that there's this battle going on between good and bad forces, who I would say, would be the adversary, Satan, his little devils versus God Most High, Jesus and the loyal angels. It's crazy. Absolutely. When you start thinking about that.
Absolutely. And we know, there's so much esoteric aspects to this. It's hard for me not to go on a tangent, and sound like a crazy person. But they literally called the aerosol spraying system in the UK Satan. It was literally called that. It was literally like the whole spraying the sky thing. And then what do they call one of the devils, archetypical, there's Lucifer, Satan, and Beelzebub, which is the Lord of the sky, right? So of course they use the sky, and that would be a major aspect of how they get this satanic system in your body, as I spoke about with the last 2 guests I had, where we talked about geoengineering, etc. So
well, it's interesting, and I found this. Do you know in the Old Testament, I think there is an example of geoengineering?
Really?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the book of Job, essentially, one of the devils, or Satan, it's not the main Satan, but it's one of the devils, sees Job. He's cruising the earth, goes visit God. God goes, have you seen my servant Job? he's the most righteous man on this earth. And then this guy goes, well, only because you protect him, take that away and see if he doesn't curse you to your face. And then God goes, well, you can do this, this, and this, but you can't do this. So you can't put your hand on him or hurt him or anything like that. So he goes back to test Job, and he creates like a windstorm that destroys everything. And that's not from God Most High. This is these fallen gods or these, devils manipulating the weather. And I think that's an example of weather manipulation that we're seeing today. So no wonder they call it Satan.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as Netfunder is always on point, barium and aluminum, Baal, which is Baal, same deal, right? So that's something that they spray in there. And by the way, I looked up, because I was speaking to Alana Freeland, and she talks about geoengineering the transhuman. She talked about Morgellons back in the 90s, okay, before anybody was. She was talking about synthetic fibers and shit like that in your body that they're spraying and putting in your body and self-assembling nanoparticles, the whole deal. And barium and aluminum, I looked up, reading Heather Lynn's work, who was on Tinfoil. She writes about, maybe it was somewhere else. I've been reading so much stuff, but somebody was talking about negative ions in the air and how that's like will hurt your body or make you lethargic and mind numbing and, zombified, essentially anxiety driven. And then positive ions, maybe I got this backwards. Positive ions might be the one that does that, but either way. And the other one makes you more relaxed and more zen. And the one they're spraying in the sky, because of the heat and everything, it's neutral, barium and aluminum. Until it gets in the sky, the heat in the atmosphere actually turns it into the one that fucks your body up.
Oh, so it's gay spray.
Yeah, gay spray, exactly. It makes you anxious. It does everything that's happening. It makes us lethargic. Our memory's short, the whole deal.
Oh, it's nuts. They're just waging a war against us on so many different levels. I mean, it's truly incredible when you think about the scope of this agenda, and it's all towards the human body. I think that we'll get into this transformation of the human body into human 2.0, which Alex Jones once made a video about. The Ubermensch, or it's crazy,
right? And now he's acting like he's like he said this is beyond me, talking about some neuro like controlling the mind and turning man into a different thing. He's acting like he has no idea about that. And I'm like, dude, you've been talking about this for like 30 years, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all right, so we got the introduction. It says we knew it was coming. The B666 Universal Human Control System is what he calls it. It's been designed and is being implemented in America and throughout the world. So he says we knew it was coming, and now it's here. Because of the Bible, of course. And there will be no place left to hide by the year 2000. See, they thought it was coming by the year 2000. Big Brother's evil octopus-like tentacles will squeeze every ounce of lifeblood out of the people. And so he goes into a totalitarian police state. But down here, it talks about the magnitude and dimensions of Project L.U.C.I.D. Consider the unbelievable magnitude and dimensions of Project L.U.C.I.D. First, it mandates that every adult and child, even newborn babies, be issued a universal biometrics ID card, a smart card with an advanced computer microchip. This powerful reprogrammable ID card will store millions of bytes of information about the recipient, his or her photo, fingerprint, footprint, iris, eye scan, DNA, genotype, human leukocyte, antigen data, and financial status, and of course, their personal history. That sounds like fucking Palantir that's doing it right now.
Yeah.
So this is laying the foundation for what I'm going to be talking about all weekend, which gets into a lot of shit. Be ready for a marathon of fucking dense information. But yeah, this kind of gets into it because this is exactly what's being built.
Yeah, and it also looks like they're using World War III as the excuse to usher this in, especially when you talk about the digital phase of it. I was curious. It's like, well, humans know that at least a large portion of humans are starting to push back against the CBDC, but that's their end goal. So how do they get us to accept that? And I thought, well, what a great way to get us to accept that during wartime if they delivered us food vouchers, programmable food vouchers, and that's just the tip of the spear. So in that same vein, I can see how everything they just mentioned there on a card, your money, your whatever your blood type is, your health records, these could be vital pieces of information for a country that wants to quote unquote remain secure through this digital prison surveillance thing that they're setting up.
National security is always the reason, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, dude. Oh, man. So the ID card will also be coded with numbers, of course. Identify the individual, the card holder, and other he believes will be eventually constitute the number 666. Because, of course, he thinks it's got to have something to do with that. Lucid establishes a massive Big Brother computer database of unparalleled invasive power. Millions of bureaucrats employed by a hidden SS Gestapo establishment will constantly feed this electronic beast with more and more data. That's the data centers, Palantir, Oracle. We're there, dude. They will hungrily and rapaciously tap into its billions of cyberspace filed dossiers, searching for information by which they can extend the beast's dominion and influence into every nook and cranny of our lives. So, Lucid cyberspace dossiers will be made instantly available for thousands of probing faceless police state agents and bureaucrats around the globe, as you were mentioning. CIA, IRS, FBI, Russians, KGB, the whole deal. It's a global system. Europe's Interpol. Everybody's going to have it. Israel's Mossad. He's one of the few people that actually write Israel's Mossad in a book. And that's
in 96 and 96 or 92. Yeah. Good on him.
Dude, he was talking about Zionists in 2016.
Is he
was
dead?
Talking about he was talking about the Zionists. He was talking about the Zionists in 2016. He understood the Bible from a real perspective. If you look up Texe Marrs, he's actually labeled as an anti-Semite. But he wasn't against, I mean.
Yeah. No. I'm saying that's crazy. How they get you. You know, you speak the truth. Mm-hmm. And especially back then, right? Like now people are kind of over it. Oh, you called me an anti-Semite. They laugh about it. In fact, you know, the controlled right is actually making jokes about it. Yay, I get to be anti-Semite of the week. So it really doesn't have an effect on you now. But back then, what a trailblazer. What a brave man to take this on.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to go back to that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trailblazer. They're going to be like, what a suicidal maniac.
Yeah,
That's what they're going to say. What a suicidal maniac. Can you believe he said that? And it's not going to believe that. They're going to say, can you believe he thought that?
Yeah.
Can you believe he thought that? I heard that he thought this, and then he got taken by the police. That's literally how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah. I really hope not. But anyway, moreover, all biographical data and personal information about you will be linked, networked, and processed by a central Gestapo repository. That would be Palantir. Into the abyss of its databanks will flow never-ending streams of information, instantly, steadily, and stealthily accumulating all the more, and we'll go over here, your daily habits and movement flow into the beast system. And spy satellites constantly circling overhead, flock, watching all of us, squinting eyes of a giant soaring eagle ready to pounce and consume its hapless victims. Okay, so, you know, of course, he's a writer. He likes to have fun. Hidden miniature video cameras will be recording our activities indoor and out, day and night, obscenely invading our privacy and instantaneously transmitting their mountainous files and records into this central Gestapo data center. There will be interactive TV sets that will be watching us in 96. He said this. And they'll be reporting back to the beast system headquarters. I mean, dude, people thought this guy had to be a maniac because they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Well, this was in 92, 96, back when you had the
TVs were a little box TV that still had an antenna on it and shit. Yeah, dude. I mean, you still had the VCR system. But now you have Alexa, you have Amazon from DARPA, you have things that make sense. And I love that I can annotate on the side of this and say, but we have literal actual companies now that really do this.
Yeah, and I think this is very interesting too, because if you look at the amount of money that the globe has invested into AI, I heard someone talk about they couldn't sell enough personal subscription to their consumer-based AI to justify all that spending, which means they're investing for a different reason. And it 100% has to do with this digital surveillance prison via the third temple, via digital third temple that they're building. This is what it's all about.
Dude, Alex Karp made $4.6 billion on his salary last year, and Palantir only made $1 million in profit.
Wait. What?
Alex Karp made $4.6 billion last year, according to some things I've seen. And it only profited like maybe $1 million or maybe $1 billion. Let's say $1 billion, just to be generous. It profited $1 billion. How the fuck are you paying yourself 4.5 times that?
Fed funny money. You know, that's
so to your point, you're investing. You're not investing. It's something else. There's another hand behind this. There's different money coming in from somewhere else. It's black budget, Pentagon, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, the Bank of International Settlements that can move trillions of dollars off the books with nobody knowing. So
And listen, if you're of the idea, hey, I don't like using AI, I don't like using that. Well, guess what? That's not necessarily the intended purpose of why they're rolling this out. And if you don't, guess what? They're just going to get rid of us. I mean, we have the Georgia Guidestones. We know what their, what dream for humanity is, which is around 500 million people, hooked up via AI, Neuralink, whatever, to this digital god that they're creating, which is ultimately going to use to, imprison us.
Yeah, you got to be a node in their system. And yeah, that's definitely coming. You know what's funny about that? Speaking of, our telephone conversations will be automatically wiretapped and transcribed by the NSA. Huh, that's before Snowden. Dude, before Snowden, he talked about this. Okay.
I wonder if they're
FISA is very important right now with that. It's like what enabled the NSA to do that was FISA.
It makes me think about how Snowden must be a limited hangout. They probably read this book and like, hey, we're going to figure this stuff out. They're going to figure this stuff out.
Right.
Let's leak Snowden and go through the limited hangout option to drive the conversation somewhere else.
Was that you or somebody else that said that before? That maybe it's like people like us, like the conspiracy theorists, they're thinking about crazy shit they're trying to do, and they're actually now trying to manifest that because they're talking about it. Does that make sense? Like, it might have been you or somebody else that mentioned that, where they're like, yeah, that's some crazy shit. We didn't think about that. Let's make that happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? I forgot who it was that said that. It might not have been you, but I had that conversation the other day. I was like, man, that's a poignant point there. I didn't think about that. That's kind of a thing.
Well, I definitely think they mess with us. Yeah, I definitely think a lot of stuff they do is to mess with the conspiracy theorists.
Right. No, absolutely. Everything, in fact, will be duly recorded, stored, and accessed at will by the technocratic agents who administer this monstrous system. Man, he even knew the term for it, technocratic. It's crazy. Yeah. He talks about, well, this is very important because I just did an episode on this, the fingerprint ID for apparel that's by 2030 going to be mandatory. He talks about every gadget, device, every machine, item of clothing, piece of jewelry, every tool will all come with the authority of the ISO 9000 program, which would be the internationally certified something. I work with ISO certified parts all the time. They literally, that's a real thing. Like I work with ISO certified parts. They all have a number. They all have a label. They all have to be stamped. They all have to be, the whole thing has to be done to the T because it's internationally certified, which means that it has to be under the international standard of whatever. And so we have to like follow that. And that's exactly what he's mentioning.
That's crazy.
It's insane. But I see some of that because I'm like, yep, that's real. It's funny. I work in the manufacturing industry. So it's like, I get to see a lot of other things, like, I'm not working in data centers, like somebody else I know who actually, I talked him out of stopping working for there.
Really? Yeah.
He's an electrician. And I was like, dude, you got to get out of there. I was like, you're building. I was like, if you're not going to sabotage the place, you got to get out of there. And I told my other buddy too. I told another buddy, I can't talk about who that is and where he worked because that place is part of the counterintelligence agency.
Yeah.
He literally worked there. And I was like, bro, you got to get out of there. He works as an electrician too. I was like, unless you're going to fuck with that, get the fuck out of there, dude. They're like, you don't want to be in the belly of the beast like this.
For his own safety. I mean, if he sees the wrong thing, seriously, you never know, especially with all this.
And selfishly, he's too adjacent. Yeah, exactly. And selfishly, he's a little too adjacent to me. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of there. But also, like, really, you just don't want to help build the system. I make some stuff for SpaceX. So it's like, I kind of feel partially whatever. But
hey, listen, at the end of the day, and I truly believe this, and I think this is actually a lie that they tell truth tellers. There's no stopping what's happening, right? No. Like, we still need to survive in this world. And unfortunately, that is partaking in some of its earthly things, which job is part of it. But what we should do is speak the truth and hope to bring people to God. In fact, that's what we're supposed to do. Nowhere, if you do believe in the Bible, if you do believe in prophecy, nowhere in prophecy does it say we get together as humans led by Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens to take down the deep state. It doesn't happen. That's a false bill of goods. So we still have to operate within this world. There's nothing wrong with that. So I wouldn't even stress about that. We all use AI, right? So any of these purists that say, oh, you do this, I'm like, do you use AI every day? Yes, you do. So get out of here.
And I looked that up. It's like 70% of the whole world is water. 3% of it's drinkable. And then they choose to use our fresh water. And we use 1.7 trillion gallons in America a year. And it's going to be projected that the data centers will be using 1.7 trillion gallons by 2028. And we know that there's been articles coming out since 2020 about water bankruptcies by 2050. But if we're going to double our output of water, then we're looking at 2025. Like we're looking at like half the time. So like 2030 probably is when that water, like if they're really going to be outputting that much water at once. So I looked up, is it possible to run these data centers with salt water? Well, of course it is. It just costs more money. So we're going to kill off humanity to save a buck.
Yeah. Well,
what
they
the
don't need
fuck
us.
are we talking about?
Well, I mean, Henry Kissinger famously called us useless eaters. So the question is, like, if you got the robots and if you got the AI, what's the point of us? Once again, I think, a universal basic income was a lie they told us. So it was to do us when they were building out this system. Oh, your job's going to go away. Oh, this is not. Well, don't worry. We're going to have a UBI. You're going to be able to do whatever you want and be happy. But if you look at history, when have the elites ever cared about us? So why would we start to believe them now when it comes to this universal basic income, which is why I think personally, they're using this political Zionist agenda to collapse everything. And I think you'll see a lot of people die over the next, 3 to 5 years until, the levels are whatever they want to be in this new digital system.
Oh, and stop, dude. They're going to get universal high income.
Yeah. Oh, universal high income?
Yeah. Remember? Anyway, so yeah, the fingerprint ID stuff, all that. Okay, so draconian, horrendously unconstitutional, what people of America would never go for it. They would never allow such a beast computer system to be built, people might say. What naivete, says Texe Marrs. As I will demonstrate in this book, the beast system is not only being constructed, its employment against Americans and against citizens of every nation on earth is inevitable. Project L.U.C.I.D will prove to be Lucifer's end times identification, surveillance, and control system. Crazy, dude. So he gets into a little bit of scripture here. He talks about Bible prophecy, has stupendous, heart-gripping visions of perilous future, reveals that the end time will be a tumultuous period of deception and betrayal. A strong delusion will overtake the minds of men so that they will willingly worship the dragon and the beast, also known as the Antichrist. They will pay homage to his global new world order. People everywhere will wondrously claim who is like unto the beast and who is able to make war with him. I mean, this is, he's alluding to this as the AI, like digital system that they're building. It's like, dude, it's going to be next level. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So he talks about the mark and the number. Bible is destined to devour the whole world and break it into pieces. This is Daniel 7:7. It says that the chilling universal human control system, which according to the Bible is destined to devour the whole world and break it into pieces. So I guess Daniel 7:7 alludes to that. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and the number is 666. And he talked about how, he's the one who mentioned that Jacob was given the name Israel. So that's the name of a man, which is Jacob. And then the sign of a man, which would be the Star of David, and the number of the man, which is 6, but there's 3 6s on the Star of David, the outer points, the inner points, and then like the sides or something. And so you have 666. So he kind of said that is, he called out Zionism in Israel as being the one that's going to bring the beast system in before they were even you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like we're seeing that now and it's so obvious now, but back then it's like, what, dude? Crazy.
Yeah. And we were actually talking about this a little bit before the show, but I think it is interesting. It's interesting that Jeffrey Epstein was so heavily involved with USA Tech on behalf of the, Israeli government. It's also interesting that there seemed to be a rift between him and Netanyahu, and where Netanyahu would be supported by the traditionalists that want to build a physical third temple and bring the sacrifices to that temple, where it seems like Epstein and that whole crowd, and although the plans were way before this, I think Epstein was just type of figurehead or puppet kind of doing what he was doing. But it seems like that group is the one spearheading the final stages of this digital third temple.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or should I say digital prison? They called it the, digital prison.
Yeah. I have to say, cake in a cup. I agree with you, but I will say, She says podcast AI generated thumbnails are the reason you pay an extra $2,500 for a desktop computer. Not really, but people who were never meant to make art, pretending to make art is the reason. Now, I have to agree with you, but I will say this. The only time I use AI is to make a thumbnail for this show. So I take a little offense, but not really, because I don't care. You're right. I don't got time for that shit. I'm too busy researching. I don't got time to make art on top of it.
Yeah, I use AI for images too. Like the one I made of what's his name? The Matt Gaetz bending over for Pindar, the albino lizard king. I couldn't do that on my own, and I couldn't afford to pay somebody. So I actually use it.
Hey, I don't give a shit. I gotta use it.
Hey,
I don't
got
time,
operate.
bro. It takes 1 minute to make me an image that goes perfectly with the topic of the show, and I'm like, all right, there we go. And that's the only time I use it. I don't use it for research, none of that shit. So, and because of that, it takes a lot of time to research. So I don't have time to make images or clips and go make short videos and do all this gay shit that everybody else does. So I kind of prefer it this way. It's more organic.
I like it.
It's old school, man. We're old school. I'm more look at it like we're broadcasters, dude. Like, or at least me, more old school, like this new kind of weird digital creator world is weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could kind of skip past this. He talks about futurism and technology right here. So as I mentioned, he worked at a high-tech consulting firm, Tech Trends, and there was a president of Tech Trends. He was privileged to meet and share information with some of America's best technological minds. He was kept busy researching and writing books for futuristic high technology for publishers like New York publishers, Stein and Day, etc. So his investigation took him into research laboratories in exotic corporate locales where he became privy to mind-boggling information about horrendously destructive high technology systems on the drawing boards in the last few years. He's steadily seen those same dark systems introduced in the public marketplace, often presented as something positive, good, and beneficial for the progress and prosperity of mankind. So yeah, it always is sold as good.
Yeah.
So in this book, or whose book? Hold on, let me go back. He's referencing somebody's book. Whatever. In his book, The Permanent Revolution, the French Revolution and its Legacy. Oh, here's his name. Professor George Steiner paints a grim picture of a brief episode in history in which all things changed abruptly almost overnight. The upheaval in France was so brutal and so wrenching that the entire social, political, economic, and religious order was turned on its head. This is the French Revolution. Blood flowed from the guillotine. Men feasted on savage acts of barbarism and cruelty, while the screams and cries of tortured, dying victims were either muted or laughed at. And all this was done to make people happy and to ensure the prosperous and contented future. As one revolutionary, Illuminati, Jacobin leader, Frenchman, Roubaud de Saint-Étienne exclaimed, damn, that's a hard name to say. So this guy was a fucking Illuminati guy. If you don't know, the French Revolution was started. The time is now, I believe is what was said. The time is now. And then it started. And by the way, they wore red hats, like the hat of Mithras, which is where that comes from. Lord Maitreya is who they believe is going to be the Antichrist that comes. That's why Trump wears the red hat. And he believes himself to be Lord Maitreya.
Dude, it's so funny. Real quick, when you look back, now that I'm a conspiracy theorist, when you look back at any world event, you just go up, co-opted. You know, and it turns out to be true.
Mm-hmm. Every time. So today, in the final years of the turbulent and eventful 20th century, we once again are hearing insistent demands for a new civilization, a new age, a paradigm shift, a new way of thinking. And we're told, yes, all the things must change and men must change and the world must be reinvented. A newfound politics of meaning is in order, a new covenant. So these changes are necessary. Joe Rogan talks about this. Oh, we got to do this. Maybe this upheaval is necessary. We need to have this upheaval so we can arise as a new species. Well, that's so funny because Alice Bailey said the same fucking thing in this book I was reading. So these people have the same talking points.
Phoenix rising out of the ashes, right?
Exactly. That's why they call themselves the initiates of the flame. Because, yeah, exactly. Death and destruction to bring about creation.
Order. Yeah.
So these changes are necessary. And we're reminded, institute gun control, counter domestic terrorism, fight pornography. all to find deadbeat dads who don't pay child support, to save Mother Earth, and to protect endangered species, to war against drug kingpins, and to stop crime in streets, to watch and monitor the militias, and to prevent ethnic cleansing and tribal rivalries, and to put an end to the hate crimes and bigotry, and to extend universal health care benefits, to guarantee welfare reform, and to improve public education. The list of crises and problems to be fixed seems to be never ending. Problem, reaction, solution, of course.
Dude, everything he just said, we are seeing today.
Today, all the time.
Everything.
Yep. Problem, reaction, solution. That's what he's laying out. So what we're talking, the grand solution. Look at that. I wrote that down, and I don't even think I saw that the next subtitle was called the grand solution. I really just noticed that. I never even know. That's hilarious. And so to make people happy, the leaders of our big brother government, who love us all so dearly and have come up with a solution which can solve many, if not most, of our problems. He calls it Project L.U.C.I.D. This involves an array of black science tools and big brother electronic devices. Implement this system, and they promise a bright, secure future can be ours. That's coming, dude. So the designers of LucidNet claim their system is only proposed, that it is not in operation at this time. What's coming now? He said, nonsense, though. This has already been implemented. Many aspects of this draconian computerized control system that they do without our knowledge, permission, are happening now. So this gets into sacrifices required for Baal.
Real quick, it's really funny. I just saw, Russell Brand come out with a tweet and I wanted to repost it. He goes, God isn't going to allow AI to take over. And it's just like, dude, get out of here. Who are you to speak for God, for one?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. These are where the gatekeepers are, right? They'll point out the dangers of AI, kinda, but then they just give you some hopium, or they'll misdirect you somewhere else. So this plan continues, unstopped. I mean, maybe to your point, they thought they were going to have this around the 2000s, early 2000s, got postponed a little bit, but like, awesome on you for bringing all this stuff up. This is meat and potatoes when it comes to the future, and it's important that we talk about this.
That's what I think, dude. Yeah. Where's the meat and potatoes at, dude? I feel like we're the only ones bringing it, bro.
Yeah, we got to get off.
Fucking got McDonald's, bro. We're bringing meat and potatoes, dude.
We got to get off that milk, right? Get off your mom's boob and move over to some meat and potatoes. This is big boy stuff.
Wake up. So, however, in their book, Computer Consciousness, authors H. Dominic Corvey and Neil McAllister sound words of caution. They say, if we fail to fear the computer's ability to become a latter-day Baal who demands our sacrifices on the altar of technology, then we may unresistingly become first its worshipers and finally its sacrifices. That is the digital temple. That's the beef of what we wanted to talk about. Whenever you mention to me, let me give everybody the background. So you asked me if I had heard the concept of this digital temple, this third temple that could be the esoteric could be the digital one, and the exoteric would be the physical one. That's what I think. That's why Israel owns all the systems that will be building this esoteric version. It's both. You see what I mean? There's always the inner and the outer, as above, so below. That's how they work. Mm-hmm. So when you know that, then of course there's going to be this esoteric version. And I think it is this. And he just laid it out right there. I mean, they know it's coming. They know that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. And like I said, there's nothing we can do to stop this. The trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. This is multi-generational. I mean, I said that, Epstein was kind of like the puppet organizing this, but you brought something up really interesting. This goes all the way back to the Theosophical Society, correct?
Theosophists. Yes. The Theosophists. Mm-hmm. The Theosophical Society, started by Helena Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky, her successor was Alice Bailey. And the UN, all of their documents are published by something called Lucis Trust. And that actually is in here. Lucis Trust is in here. So we'll be talking about that soon. Yeah. It gets into Lucis, Lucid, and Lucifer, and all that. Somebody mentioned earlier that that's what it is. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So what is I saying? Yeah. Lucis Trust publishes all of the UN documents. They also publish every theosophical book that's ever been written. So this is in Theosophical Society is essentially co-masonry. So we're looking at like the same groups, right? Latter-day Saints, Mormonism, I think they're all the same. Like all of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
lot of the denominations are all leading towards this. I think that, Satan knew the power of the church. So what did he do? He corrupted it and started new denominations, or just started denominations in period. But they're all leading to this point. They might tackle a different aspect of it. And I actually saw this, I saw somebody who I actually like post about Pope Leo, not Pope Leo, but actually who was before Pope Leo? Pope Francis.
Yeah.
And, he said he had actually a couple articles about how AI was dangerous and that maybe he was a good guy. And I'm like, no. It's just a different aspect of it. They still support this behind the scenes. To your point, all countries will adopt this. And the Vatican is a country, so.
And the Vatican wants to be they want to bring in the temple. I mean, they've outwardly said that. You've got Catholics saying that they want to be the ones that bring in the temple, that they're actually the ones that are supposed to bring in the temple. Like they've got this whole, Christianity, and so it's us. And it's like, no, Jesus said, I am the temple. You're if you're in me, then you're in me. If you believe in me, then you're in me, then you're the temple, the whole thing, right? So we're the temple, he's the temple. That's it. Your body is the temple, essentially, your soul. So anyway, it's funny how these people are, they're professionals in theology, and they seem to miss the plot with that shit.
Well, they don't. No. You nailed it right there.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's intentional.
Exactly. And it's like, man, they're just speaking to cattle. So Patrick Henry, I don't know if you know who that is, man. He's my fucking idol. Okay. I don't have any idols, but if I was to have one, it'd be Patrick Henry. Okay. And Patrick Henry, he's the man who said the classic phrase, give me liberty or give me death. And so he's got a quote in here. I've got a t-shirt, by the way. It's upstairs. And it's got that on it. And fucking love it. It's my favorite shirt. Anyway.
I'm with you. And I think as a believer, true liberty we find in Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we break away from the system. Yeah.
Unalienable rights, not inalienable, unalienable rights given to us by God, which means I can't separate myself from those rights.
Yeah.
You can't, I can't, nobody can but God. And he wouldn't do, it's just not going to happen. So Patrick Henry, America's great orator, the patriot of the Revolutionary War against the tyrannical regime of Britain's King George III, once made a stirring declaration. He stood on such matters, as you read and study the pages that follow, you will take to heart his inspiring and uplifting words. Patrick Henry, history records, was a man who rejected the threats and seductions of Baal. He loved Jesus Christ and was willing to follow the truth even to the death. In one of his most infamous and beloved speeches, Patrick Henry said this: "It is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against the painful truth and listen to the song of that siren until she transforms us into beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be of the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not? The things which so nearly concern their temporal salvation. For my part, this is the important part. This is the part I stand by. And by the way, I saw people saying stuff in the comments, so this is my answer to that. For my part, whatever anguish or spirit it may cost of my soul, I'm willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and provide for it." Fuck yeah, dude. I ain't scared.
Yeah.
I'm willing to fucking go after it head first, dude, and talk about the shit. Fuck
hey. We need more people like that out there, but unfortunately, the system does not want to give us them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope that leads to inspiration for other people. You know what I mean? Neuralink kind of talks about that a little bit on this next one. Computerized ID card, eventually by implantable biochips. This is an electronic straitjacket that will allow the New World Order's Gestapo to track and link every man, woman, and child on Earth, and our activities to be monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by federal Gestapo agencies. And that's where we're at.
Hey, it's really interesting also. I was thinking about that. It's like they've sold us this under the disguise of altruism, and just go back to something like Bitcoin. Everybody's like, oh, Bitcoin, it's this decentralized coin, totally separate from the Fed, only to find out that it was probably created somewhere in DARPA. At some point, Jeffrey Epstein got 3 of the programmers into his back pocket. And I always found it interesting that people got fooled using that coin to buy stuff on the dark web, when in reality, it's exactly what they want: a database, a ledger that tracks everything we do. Like, we're bringing it on ourselves,
Dude,
essentially.
I wasn't even like super hardcore into where I'm at right now, this level of conspiratorial thinking. And when they brought that up, I instantly was like, no, bells rang. I was like, dude, no, that's not a. Once I read about blockchain, especially, I was like, no, dude, no way. This is the opposite of what they're saying it is. And I don't understand how people that understand the technology can still think that.
But once
Like, I
again,
get
it's
every coin is done by an algorithm, so that itself is decentralized. But then it's any transaction. The transaction's what they care about, like you said, the ledger.
yeah, well, like you said, are they getting it wrong by accident or is it all intentional? And I would say it's all intentional. To your point, they know this. It's kind of like when Janet Yellen, who was the head of the Fed during COVID, printed up that $7 trillion, right?
Yeah,
She had all the classical training about what would happen if we do that. She went to Harvard Business School, all that. She knew exactly what would be the outcome, and she did it anyways.
right.
So is she willfully, is she ignorant, or is she ignorant on purpose?
Exactly. Willful ignorance.
Willful ignorance, yes.
Oh, yeah. So this talks about Gestapo agencies to arrest anti-government suspects. So this would be Palantir used to go after thought crime, right? Police, things like that. While its designers would deny it, I believe, Texe Marrs, that federal and me and international Gestapo agencies will use the instantaneous information maintained on file at the Beast computer system to to trace, investigate, and monitor, spy on, and arrest and incarcerate resistors.
Wait, real quick. You know what I'm immediately think of? Because I've actually read article, and we've talked about this as a sentient world simulation. And I actually read articles how this program is going to be used as pre-crime stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So once again, they built this thing. They're using it. It just hasn't really been rolled out to the public yet.
No, that's the whole purpose of it because, as he mentions here, recently introduced so called anti terrorist legislation, plus the anti crime bill of 1994, drafted by Biden, are the catalysts which make possible the immediate arrest and imprisonment of any and all persons suspected of being a terrorist. And Obama, he signed the NDAA, which actually extended that to where you could be imprisoned without due trial or the whole deal. So the groundwork is laid. They just haven't utilized it yet, as you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
You're on point. Significantly, the arrest of targeted Christian, patriot, or other citizens will take place whether or not the person has actually committed a crime or a criminal act. Thought crimes alone provide justification for the arrest of dissidents. Arrest of targeted citizens are to be euphemistically called prevention detention.
Also, real quick,
Preventative detention.
we're seeing that right now. Did you see in Florida how they arrested that teenager for making jokes about Netanyahu?
Yep. It's equal to from the river to the sea shirt wearer in Australia.
Yeah.
But that's Australia. We wouldn't think that's happening in America, but it is. And so Florida, at least, because Florida, Randy Swine is running that. So, you know.
And think about this also. I remember you were reading out the book earlier, and one of the reasons why they want to usher this in, and it was to stop the killing of a protected class or a genocide or something like that. And what's happening right now? I can totally see at the end of all of this, they say, we can't let this happen again. We need to unroll this now. And I think, to your point, they've been building this system out quietly, and I think it's way more advanced than we think. So I think this major revolution, if that's what you want to call it, is going to be ushered in right after all this stuff. You could see how, once again, and I think I've talked to you about this, it's the Bilderberg group, who has all these tech guys in it, was actually started by a Nazi. And that's what this guy's talking about, SS. So you could see how this political Zionist movement is working hand in hand with, the ambitions of the SS back then, right? What they want to usher in.
Prince Bernard, exactly. Card carrying Nazi, exactly. And where did they just meet recently? My listeners know that listen to my last
at the
episode.
Salamander building, but you know what the address was?
Yeah, but they're the initiate.
Do you know what the address of the Salamander building was?
What?
1330. Something.
Really? 1330.
Yeah.
Huh. And you know what else is funny about that? Salamander, these guys are the initiates of the flame, the initiates of the fire, the philosophers of fire, rather. And salamander is the elemental prescribed to fire. So the salamander, if you were to look at like each element, has a like a mermaid or a nymph is like for water, and a fairy, right, is for air, and earth would be like a gnome or an elf. Fire is a salamander or a reptilian being, right? And so that salamander building is a very fitting place for these philosophers of fire to meet at, is my point. So the esoteric value of all this shit is right there in front of our face. And as crazy as we may sound to acknowledge it, I think it would do us some justice because it fucking just shows it, right? It lays bare in front of you.
Yeah. Can I address one thing that Cake in a Cup said? He says, or she says, I think it's a she. I think it's a she, I think. If you're not, I'm sorry. He goes, I thought Israel was all about turning every white Christian country dumb and poo brown. And what you notice, it's Israel, but also combined with the Vatican. I mean, there's a lot of Catholic NGOs that have been instrumental in the collapsing of our borders within America. So once again, it's all these organizations that work together to usher
I think she was responding. She was responding to Lake Titicaca saying Israel is about salvation of white people. Now, I'm not sure if that was a joke. Because it's not. No. I hope it wasn't. I hope that was a joke.
You should hear how a lot of those Shabbat, I think they're Shabbat rabbis, actually talk about America and the fall of Rome.
So they think that, wow, you think that we're using Israel as a proxy for us in the Middle East. I think that I get what you mean by that, and I can see what you mean. I don't think it's us doing that. I think that would actually be the Rothschilds or the global elite banking system that helped create Israel in 1933 via the Havar Agreement that Hitler signed with Zionists. By the way, he signed it with Zionists, and you can see a video where the Rothschilds admit that they literally funded the creation of Israel. And when they created it, they immediately started bombing Christians, killing Christians at the David Hotel, for instance, King David Hotel. And so I think the Christian population reduced by like 30% within like 2 years. So what are we talking about? The white population there, they don't care about that, dude. I'm sorry, but I just had to point that out. There's nothing about, they don't care about any of the Western Christian society being over there. They care about building the Illuminati society everywhere and establishing it first in the biblical lands, because this is ran by a demon.
Yeah, I think what it talks about, maybe what this person's talking about is Israel's the salvation of white people. Well, it says through the Jews, you have salvation for the rest of the world. And what I think that's talking about is the God, right? So Yahweh and Jesus, which comes from that lineage. That's what salvation is. It's not the state of Israel. It's not the current, power structure in control there. They do not care about white Christians. In fact, I think the most powerful, and listen, we're not talking about the general people there at all. And when we talk about these organizations, we're not talking about the general people. But these organizations clearly do not care about the salvation of white people.
And see, we have our friend Neff Hunter, who has the ability for nuance, and nuance as in Zelensky is the only one that's being pointed out as the one killing Ukrainian Christians by Tucker Carlson, for instance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's on Putin's side. Putin's the good guy. Well, thank you for your nuance, because Putin is equally involved in this Masonic theater we see going on. He's got a rabbi. He literally doesn't care about Orthodox Christianity as he espouses. You have a lot of influencers that are pushing this. Russia's good, Iran's good, China's good, Israel and America are bad. Orthodox Christianity is the way. And they're kind of right, but kind of wrong. So but for enough people that are uneducated, they kind of go with it because they're like, yeah, you're right. I don't like the crazy left and all these things. You know what I mean? I don't like the fact that MAGA is going for the Zionism. So they're capturing those people. The people like me and you that don't have the nuance are being captured by people who are actually driving them to be radical, essentially resurgence of Nazism on purpose. It's a honeypot. And I'm watching it happen on X every day. It's insane.
What's also insane is and I was actually looking at my social media handle all throughout its history of its existence, my most recent one. And dude, right now you're actually seeing a push on certain social media accounts, how Putin is captured by these Shabbat rabbis. But dude, I was pointing this stuff out in 2022 when this war between Russia and Ukraine first kicked off. And even if you don't make the connection that it's tied to that rabbi, they were both part of the World Economic Forum.
Absolutely.
Putin was a young global leader, just like how Iran gets funding from members of the World Economic Forum. That's how they fund these boogeymans. Like major players why they're opposed to the US. They all partake in this global system,
Right.
and they kind of backdoor, fund these things. Why, it's such a magic trick.
And if you remember, he says he wants the days to be like it was with the USSR, the Soviet Union. Who was that created by? 75% Jews. I mean, it is what it
Bolsheviks.
is. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it is.
Bolsheviks. I mean, it is
Yeah.
what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to call a spade a spade. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying like Torah Jews. I'm talking about atheist Jews. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
Jews that aren't really Jews, like Sam Altman, the type
Yeah.
of Jews that you don't want running things because they have no real espousal to any God except for their ethno supremacy over you.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to think about, how did the Rothschilds get their power, right? They were the Bowers, and they changed their name to Rothschild, which means Red Shield. And I think they were put in power by the overall Roman Empire to handle all the banking. Now, there are fights between these bloodlines, between the Rothschild Zionist movement and, I would say, the black nobility of the Rome and the Vatican. But ultimately, I mean, the Rothschilds handled the Vatican banking for a long time. What do you mean there's no connection between the two?
Exactly, dude. No, exactly. Oh man, that's funny, dude.
They get us all tribal, right?
Yeah.
That's the role of the mainstream alternative media right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if there's somebody you like, but they have a clear blind spot when it comes to the system of control, once again, it's not because they're ignorant; they're willfully ignorant.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Lake Titicaca, last time I'll comment on the chat. Jews are being scapegoated by people who are espousing themselves as Jews. So
Yes.
I'm not saying that like they're not any Jews doing it, but these people are the ones calling themselves that. So that's kind of half the issue. And I'm not saying that all. Come on, we have the ability for nuance on this show, and I hope you know that. I don't know if you're new to the show, but welcome. And go check out some older episodes, like the Bolshevik episode I did, where you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Because it's really a matter of, this is a satanic movement that's being led by MAGA currently. It's a reiteration of the Bolsheviks, and we're in it again. Operation Trust 2.0, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and always remember, whatever they're doing, it's also being co-signed by every single government. Where's Israel getting their bombs from? Who's not doing anything? It's all a facade. Even the Board of Peace is facade. Let's not forget that while this atrocity that was happening in Gaza, guess who didn't step in? Every single one of their Arab states. In fact, I mean, I don't know if I believe this. Once again, everything might be all propaganda. But supposedly the Arab states were mad that Trump didn't finish the job with Iran. They're 100% behind all of this. And I wonder how much of that's even theater,
Absolutely, dude. No, it's all theater, dude. It's all fake and gay. It's one big circle jerk. Yes, sir. Cheesy Mac, my dog, dude. I'll let the chat enlighten Titicaca a little bit more while we get into some more studies about some things that are more pertinent. We went over Zionist ad nauseum. We don't need to get too deep back into that. Purging and cleansing. So let's get into that aspect of this Project L.U.C.I.D. So the purging and cleansing of planet Earth is at hand. The beast intends to be rid of such dynamic enemies of the state as Christian separatists, patriots, nationalists, constitutionalists, I would like to add, because that's me. And all the other three, by the way. Every nation on Earth will join in his campaign to eradicate the human vermin and diseased human rats. For this hive mind, we can't have certain people that are, they have a disease. We're going to start calling people diseased minds that don't take on this new age indoctrination. Project L.U.C.I.D is vividly bringing to pass what Daniel 7:25 reveals as the beast. It shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and the dividing of time. So this cardinal development in human control signals the rapid, breathtaking emergence of the end times beast. His universal system is described by the Bible as dreadful and terrible. The awesome power of the global system is such that it devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue of the saints with its feet.
Damn, I found that interesting. Changing laws and wearing out the saints. That's exactly
the gospel,
what we're
right?
seeing.
I mean, that would be the gospel and man's law. Like change man's law and ruin the gospel. Like all this crazy fucking new age weird mix of like spiritualism and Christianity.
Yeah.
As you have the same Satanist driving people towards Christianity from the left or from this anti-humanist movement that's really a part of the same thing that they're driving them to.
Well, that's what I laugh about Candace Owens, right? So she exposes one Babylonian cult only to drive all her followers to another Babylonian cult. It's just a different expression of the same cult.
Absolutely. Sarah Boston, what up? Or Supreme Being, what up? She changed her name. I won't say it again, I promise. So the wise shall understand. This is important because I believe this is everybody here.
All right.
Why do I publish these frightening facts about Project L.U.C.I.D? Facts which admittingly are both alarming and stupefying, though absolutely true. My friends, it is our duty to warn those who dwell in unbelief that the time is upon us. Some will wisely understand that and prepare by taking shelter in Jesus Christ. He alone provides help and protection. Others will scoff and denounce us as fanatics. Then they will prance off to continue their wicked lifestyle and worldly ways. But this too was prophesied in God's word. Only the chosen, the wise, those who know and to believe in our Lord Jesus Christ will understand, and this is as it should be. For we read that in the final momentous days, many will be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Well, I think where we're at. Also, I agree with that 100%. And we become wise when we put our faith in Jesus. And Jesus has commanded all of us in the Great Commission, right? That's where the wise come into play during this time. As it starts to get dark, we're supposed to explain to people through the wisdom that God has given us through the Holy Spirit to see the evils that are going on, to point this out, but I think ultimately to bring us to Christ. So I'd like to update that one guy's famous quote, give me Christ or give me death.
Exactly. And, also a part of that is like, I think there's a big thing to be said for it's unlikely people that will see the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at myself as a very unlikely person to be led towards understanding the truth with this kind of stuff, like towards Christianity, that aspect of it. I could imagine myself being more like, from my background, like more like new age, being stuck in that forever. You know what I mean? Like, I really could see that would be more likely where I was, like, where I could imagine me going, right? But if you look at who Jesus chose, and not saying I'm chosen, but I'm just saying, if you look at who the Bible tends to show ends up being chosen, it kind of foreshadows who God kind of grabs is people that are unlikely. I mean, he chose Israelites, the people that were doomed to be enslaved and kicked out of almost every nation. He knew that, and he still chose them, right? So it's kind of odd.
Who did Jesus choose as his apostles? He didn't pick the Pharisees that knew, the Old Testament forward and backwards, and while they added their own man-made tradition, he chose those that he knew would have true faith in him, the unlikely ones. And I think that's all of us.
Yep, I think you're right. So,
one more thing I'd like to say is also,
that.
And I'm with you. I grew up atheist. I grew up very atheist. Although my father was Jewish, my mother was Protestant. I grew up very atheist, and then I kind of dabbled a little bit in the New Age in the beginning because I thought the Bible was just a control book.
Yeah,
but I think the elect is true Christianity, not any of these denominations, not this legalistic BS. And what's true Christianity? It's all those who are faithful to Jesus and God Most High, true faith, who show up each day and say, God, here I am, use me as you will. That's the true body. That is the true wise people out there. All this denomination stuff, to me, is just legalistic BS from the enemy meant to divide us.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about, dude. I try every day, I try.
That's all we can do. And ask forgiveness when we screw up. That's another thing I always like to say. We don't say enough. Let's be honest with ourselves and where we fall short and ask for forgiveness. I think that's a key component of being a true Christian or a true follower of Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yep. What's up, Chris and Birdman? How we doing, guys? Pearls before swine. That's exactly what that means. That's so funny. Because, you anger people when you try to get them to think or, question things. They get angry.
And they're go on. Go ahead. Let me just say, and both sides are just as delusional as the other side. So the controlled anti-Zionist movement is just as delusional as the controlled Zionist movement, because when you start pushing facts, their default setting always, and I've seen this with my posts, is head in the sand and deflect to the other side. And both sides do that instead of coming to the realization that all sides are controlled. And the Bible says as much. I mean, we just got to go to the Bible. Who does the Bible say the prince of this world is? Satan.
Right. Yeah.
Which means he controls it all.
Yep, exactly. And we're going to get into some details about what that is and who that is and everything when we get into Alice Bailey's work on the externalization of the hierarchy. There's a character in there called Sata Kumara. And if you listen to Biblical Hitman, he may have spoken a little bit about this character when I don't know. Stephen told me to look up this guy whenever we were talking about the research I was doing. And it very much goes into what some of the research I'm doing. And, I should say this character, his role is known as the King of the World, the Lord of the Flame. And he arrived from the Venus chain. You know what I'm saying? And during the third root race, he came. He's the leader. Go ahead.
Once again, Venus, planet, God, fallen angel.
Yeah. Sanat, Satan. Come on, dude. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So he goes, plasma connections here. This is what I was interested in because of course, this all ties into the UFO weird shit, and it's all going to tie in. We're going to get into it over the weekend, but in modern interpretation, Sanat Kumara is frequently associated with the transmission of plasma energy or divine plasma. This is described as a high-frequency energy intended to accelerate the ascension of transformation for human physical bodies into light bodies, right? So this sounds very much, this is he's part of the Pleiadian star system, the whole deal, right? This is full-on New Age UFO movement stuff too, though, mixed together.
Oh, well, I wanted to bring that up. It talked about a divine energy, plasma energy. And there's those people, that one guy who came out who was a government contractor who actually had an experience with a UFO, supposedly. And he says that he was hit with some type of divine feminine energy.
Yeah, exactly. And what has Stephen been going into ad nauseum is like this idea of the lady or like this approaching of like whatever. And I think the only reason why it's coming as a lady is because Jesus Christ was a man. So I don't know why nobody ever talks about Lucifer, the Antichrist, coming as a lady, especially whenever we know that the leader of the goddess of Gnosticism, the highest up, the one that bestows wisdom, like Lucifer, is Sophia. It's a woman. And so, and we know that they worship an androgynous god, so he can come and present himself as a woman or man. And so when we know this, when they speak about the lady, I hear nothing but this Luciferian doctrine.
Yeah.
Man, dude. I think we're getting to the core of it, dude.
It's just a pig with a different shade of lipstick.
Exactly,
all of it,
dude.
Like I said, the agenda, there's one agenda. Each one of these factions puts a different shade of lipstick on it and expects you not to think that it's not the agenda, but it is.
Yep. No, exactly. So what does he get into here? He talks about a new civilization. It is responsible for the genocidal massacres of hundreds of thousands of people in Rwanda, Burundi, Angola, Gaza, Africa, right? We can mix in a few new places in there, right? For the brutal ethnic cleansing in camps and killing camps in Bosnia, and for the bloody experimental concentration operation run by the NSA stooge Jim Jones of the People's Temple in Guyana. So this guy was a part of the NSA, apparently, Jim Jones, the one who had everybody drink the Kool-Aid, if you don't remember.
It's crazy with all these cults, all the leaders are connected to intelligence
every time. The Finders cults, the whole deal.
Or even what's it called? What's the one when they search for the clear? The L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology.
Yeah,
that's another one.
Deep. Did you know that they have $125 billion in assets, which on paper is more than the Vatican?
Damn.
So they have major sway, dude. Like people sleep on the Mormons, bro. Like they're sleeping on how much sway they have. And I think that's by design. I think again, the Mormons, Zionists, the elites, like it's all one movement, in
it's
my
all one
opinion.
Movement. Yeah.
Theosophists, the Kabbalists, the whole deal. It's all one thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he talks about here, this is very important. Based on a growing mountain of evidence that Texe Marrs has researched, He is convinced that a national security agency, through its subsidiary servant organizations in America, like the CIA, FBI, or DOJ, is guilty of horrific, murderous, and barbaric acts of terrorism everywhere on the planet. We know that that's true. I refer you to Economic Hitman or anywhere else going on currently. The NSA and with their so-called black budgets, the NSA and its inferior organizations sponsor, create, fund, and manage terror units. That would be the USAID. That would be the NGOs, things that we obviously uncovered with Doge.
And let's not forget, they're funding all the real terrorists.
Exactly. Exactly. So they can control the flame. Remember, that's what Netanyahu said. We're going to control the flame of Hamas. Yeah, because he's the philosopher of fire.
You know, I have a question. I have a question, because I think a lot of these world leaders are merely vessels for these demons.
Oh, and yeah, dude.
When they talk in these coded words, is that Netanyahu or is that the demon putting ideas into his brain?
Because Netanyahu's not that smart, dude.
Yeah, right.
Come on, you're not that competent, dude. Get out of here. You're speaking all poetic, dude. You don't have that depth. You don't have that depth in you, dude. So Islamic to Jewish. Oh, wait. What is he talking about here? Hold on. It's saying that managed terror units. Oh, look, it says the fund managed terror units, like you said, of all ideological stripes and shades, from left-wing communists to right-wing fascists. That's going on right now. From Arabic Islamists to Jewish people. That's going on right now. And from white supremacists to black separatists. I would argue that's still kind of going on a little bit still.
Oh, I think that's happening right now. And hey, listen, I'm not one that calls everybody anti-Semitic at all or racist or anything like that. As you can tell, the Southern Poverty Law Center clearly was funding, the quote unquote white racists. But there is a string of racial nationalism that is very present in the new Christian right that is replacing the Zionist system.
I know Tucker Carlson's leading the charge by saying that, of course, the Zionist movement want to, like Cake in a Cup said earlier, turn everybody brown. But that is a real part of it to, Hitler said that. I mean, he said that they want to mix the races. That way everybody's kind of mixed and there is no, everybody's one thing. Because eventually they want everybody to be one thing, right? I mean, that's the idea. You don't want to have any changes of anybody. It's going to be one race. And so I think that that's important. It's fucking crazy, though. But,
so I have a question. Do you think their one race, though, is this merging of us with robotics? This transhumanist people, the Ubermits that they want to create? Is that the merging or the one race they want to have?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tucker is an agent, dude. Titicaca, you got one right. Let's go. I'll put you on the board. I'm going to put you on the board. Titicaca, you got one right, dude.
Oh, Tucker's so obvious. Tucker is so obvious at this point.
Yeah. No, yeah, dude.
I can't.
It's insane. I mean, especially with his brother, the whole deal with his brother. Oh man. I
But
made that post myself. Did you like that post? I made it myself.
I loved it, and I think I reposted it. But you could tell. So here you have Tucker's brother, who's dresses like this rich white aristocrat, and then you have Tucker Carlson that changed the bow tie for a flannel shirt. But if you want to know what Tucker Carlson is really like, he's just like his arrogant brother Buckley or Peck, whatever his name is.
Who wrote speeches for Trump?
Yeah.
Build that wall probably came from Buckley Carlson, dude. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
He literally said, I felt like I was writing for myself when I was writing. It just felt like I was we're just so aligned. I was like, dude, this guy is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Man, what a crazy episode that was.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one point of course I don't like, I hate almost, if I could hate, Loomer. She posted that, showing that Tucker was laughing about Charlie Kirk's death. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There was a point where I was like, all right, dude, you're kind of laughing a little hard. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't know. I just think, I'm still not going to take her side on it. But I just think that, there was something to that. I mean, and then he goes, I'm sorry that, I led people the wrong way whenever it comes to Trump. And, it's like, stop, man. Like,
well, that's the thing. It's like, no. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah,
it was. And just the fact that they were laughing about Edelson gave him $250 million. Right. Yeah. How did you not see that back then?
They did.
They did. And they've had so much more experience in the DC meat grinder than guys like you or I have had, or anybody in this chat. And we were able to spot it.
You know where their faults are? They try to exemplify their intelligence so much in a lot of episodes that whenever they detract so much whenever they go and say shit like I should have known, or I can't believe I didn't see it. It was too close. It was one of those things where it's too close to see. And I'm like, dude, you try to exemplify your intelligence so much. And I believe you're very intelligent. And that's why I can't believe that you didn't know.
You nailed it right
Sorry.
there.
Like, you get out of here, dude. And it's tuck the cuck.
Yeah.
We're going to swap the words there. Let's go. Anyway. All right. So okay, let's get to it.
Yeah.
But the chief and most strategic mission of the labyrinth, known as the National Security Agency, is the development and oversight of the construction of the Beast 666 Universal Human Control System. Through its supervision of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, with its own multi-billion-dollar budget, and the NSA has been able to create and install a fabulous global system of computers, satellites, communications, telecommunication devices, and surveillance gadgetry. So since the 70s, DARPA has been bursting at the seams with billions of dollars thrown its way by profligate wastrel Congress. Ostensibly, this money went into the research and development of new and advanced, highly sophisticated military weaponry.
Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. LifeLog, Amazon. You got to get those Amazon packages droned out to you. That's just one way to get drones in the sky. We just had a few different ideas for how we could get drones in the sky every day. They spent untold truckloads of cash developing laser death rays, weather weapons, electromagnetic field systems, reconnaissance satellites. And DARPA has also been the sugar daddy for the fabled Star Wars missile defense system development, which is the Iron Beam or the Iron Dome. These are things that we seemingly gave to Israel and didn't keep for ourselves. So we spent billions of dollars, as he laid out here, and then we didn't give it to us. We gave it to Israel. Do you see how that works?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Whenever you see him break down how much money they spent, and then immediately, like, you think about all these systems they funded, and then we didn't get the systems like put here.
Can I ask you a question real quick? And not to lead us off topic, but do you think that the Iron Dome is real? There's some talks about it not being real. Do you think it's real?
Well, I think people's concept of what it is, I mean, there are interceptor missiles that go out to intercept the missiles. That's the Iron Dome. That's all it is. It's just a missile that shoots a missile to blow it up before it hits somebody. That's it. So, yeah, it's real, but it's not like a literal fucking force field. You know what I mean? I think people's concept are a little bit, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm wrong on what they're thinking. I don't think I'm wrong on what it is, but I think maybe I don't understand what their concept of what it is, but I think they're just not understanding what it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of that real quick, not to bring us off topic, but there was some talks about how, Israel and America are actually losing the war versus Iran. And, the weeks have played out and it does not look like that.
It looks like Israel's doing fine.
It looks crazy? Like they're doing fine.
Isn't it weird that the ceasefire for Israel and everybody happened to coincide with their Israel's Independence Day and their celebrations that they're doing all week? This is crazy. Like, we just stopped war for Israel's celebration. This is so wild to me. I don't know if anybody else caught that. I haven't heard anybody mention that. I've just noticed that there's been people posting about them celebrating, and then nobody's put the two together, where it's like, hello, we just stopped a whole war so that they could just have a celebration for a minute and then go back to war. And
what's even crazier now, their people are just bragging about the Greater Israel Project openly now. Like, it's not a secret. So the fact that they're doing it openly tells me they know they can fulfill this.
Absolutely.
Or at least they think they can fulfill this. So I don't think, like a lot of people like, oh, Israel's back's against the wall. They're going to roll out the nuclear weapon and say, no. I think it's all going according to plan. Because remember, all sides are controlled.
No, exactly.
Just like I think all sides within this Iranian, Israel-American conflict is all controlled. I think these are all bloodlines that worship these fallen gods.
Yeah, exactly. I hope that maybe we could do a part 2 this weekend where we could go into all these posts I saved that it lays out what you're talking about. It gets into the Palantir aspect to all this because, of course, this is laying the foundation for the post that Palantir made recently. I don't know if everybody saw that.
22 posts,
Yep. 22.
Go to the military.
22, like the Kabbalah number. That's the Kabbalistic number. And so we'll go into that. I've got lots of stuff to go into that. I'd love to maybe talk to you with that because that's kind of like the actual digital temple episode we'll be doing.
Yeah.
If you wanna check that out, we'll do that this weekend. All right, so we'll go through a little bit more of this. I think that we got most of it, but it's really just there's so much to it. There's so much that I feel like is worth reading. You know what I mean?
Let's do it. I'm not in no hurry. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So this is good. Now we're getting into what lucid means. So lucid stands for the Lucifer's Universal Criminal Identification ID System, which he just put ID instead of take the S away. So it's
real question about this. Behind closed doors, was it called Lucifer, or in public was it called Lucifer and they just condensed it down to lucid?
Lucis Trust is, I think, what you're referring to, and that's the publishing company. It was called Lucifer Trust, and it was openly called that. Yeah, they changed the name. So beware. The keyword criminal, which the letter C in lucid denotes in Lucifer's twisted philosophical paradigm and mindset, it is the biblical Christian above all others who is the criminal. So among with patriots and other resistors to the New World Order, they're mostly going after the Christians to call them out and to be called out, persecuted, and neutralized. Ultimately, this identification, tracking, and monitoring of innocent yet despised Christian victims will result in the incarceration and death of untold masses. If, however, you do not fit into the category of a biblical Christian or a patriot resistor, do not think you will escape the all-seeing eye of Big Brother. Dr. Anthony Sutton, an expert on advanced and futuristic technology systems, says that Lucid may hone in on certain individuals whom the government feels are undesirables, but everyone will come under its authority and be subject to its high-tech sensors.
You know what you just reminded me of is what they're rolling out with ICE and the digital surveillance. They're using the excuse of the illegal immigrants, all right, the undesirables, if you will, to usher this in. But to your point, ultimately, once that's taken care of, we're all going to be under the control of this system. They're just using that as a vehicle to bring it in with the quote unquote undesirables.
Oh, yeah. Useful idiots.
Yeah.
Big Brother planners have now excelled themselves with a totalitarian scheme to hook up all of us to a central computer tracking system with the assumption that we are all criminals and need to be cataloged and tracked. That's Anthony Sutton. Lucid proposes that the Universal Biometrics Card, now under development by the Department of Defense, or Department of War now, be used as a secure, uniform, interactive, and instantaneous tracking system. So here, this is very funny. Tracking of whom, you will ask? Not criminals, but according to its designer's own words, non-criminal justice background checks and alias criminals. That potentially means everybody, because they're using, he said, we applaud their ingenious use of the English language. What's an alias criminal or alias criminal? It's at another time or otherwise is what alias means. So it literally just means like otherwise, like you could otherwise be a criminal. So if you could otherwise be a criminal, then that means that it's anybody. You see, like that is ingenious the way they use
Well, Larry Ellison is talking about this publicly. Whenever he talks about the surveillance states, there's famous videos of saying, imagine how much more well-behaved people will be if they understand everything is being recorded, right? So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody will be on their best behavior whenever they see that they're always being watched. Yeah, Larry Ellison, he has no problem saying that as he buys up every fucking media company that's out there, and he has the data set. He has the cloud system that is what Palantir uses. So your phone, you save your photos on the cloud. You know what I mean? If you got your extra storage on your little iPhone and you need to save something to the cloud, well, they have a cloud with all the Palantir data, and they use Oracle. They don't use Palantir Cloud. So that's Larry Ellison's company. And it was started by In-Q-Tel, which is the CIA. So the CIA owns the data cloud for Palantir. Palantir is just total information awareness, which was started under the Patriot Act. So that's really just the NSA. So what did he say earlier? He said the NSA and the CIA, or the NSA and the government, they're working like to get. That's true. I mean, you could see them right there.
And same thing with these AI companies. I mean, we just saw this thing with Anthropic beefing with the American government, and then you had some people, oh, it's the good AI, it's the good AI, and then they just made a public statement saying that Palantir was going to be the backbone of, all the defense systems. And guess who uses Anthropic intricately within their system? Palantir.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So Palantir uses Anthropic.
Yeah,
And
AI.
okay, but OpenAI said that they were going to be taking over what Anthropic stepped away from.
Well, that specific aspect, but even that's 6 months to a year away. I wonder if a lot of this stuff is just to get funding to these failing AI companies, because they're not making the money through their consumer-based web services.
Yeah.
And I think that's just another way to fund OpenAI and still use Anthropic at the same time, a little bait and switch.
Oh, exactly. We should go over that, like, why not? I'm going to be going over this a couple more times. Why not do it again? So Anthropic, let's look up, what does Anthropic mean? Anthro is human, right? That's Anthro is human. So what is, hold on here. I like to, you got to look at the surnames, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Human picture. So picture of a movie, human movie. Anthropic, or wait, Opic. Maybe it's Opic. Is it 2 O's? I can't remember. Anyway, the other day I looked it up and it was like anthro means people, and opic or whatever, it meant like not machine, but like something similar. And I was like, well, that's fucking weird.
Well,
it's like the merging of man and machine.
Well, if you think optic as in seeing, seeing humans, this spy technology, I probably way off on that, but
yeah. Well, Anduril is a company. You know what Anduril is, right? That's the weaponry company that has all the AGI that they're putting into like the helmets and everything else. It's ran by like Palmer Luckey.
Oh god, that guy.
Yeah, Anduril comes from Tolkien, right? Lord of the Rings. Flame of the West is what Anduril means. It's an Elvish language. So in the elf language, it means flame of the West.
But
and we already talked about like how that, Palantir is the seeing stone in Lord of the Rings too. So it's all Lord of the Rings, Tolkien shit.
Well, that's also a variation of pre-flood history, which they know they wanted to bring us back to the time of Atlantis. So it makes sense.
You understand. It's essentially just Greek mythology retold.
Yeah.
It's just, but it's told on a more literal sense of like, we have elves, we have fairies, we have gnomes, we have goblins, we have salamanders, like all the things, yeah. So why the acronym LUCID? What words do the cryptic letters represent? Dr. Sutton taken note of this curious acronym. He observes that the word lucid is notably close to Lucis or Lucifer. We trust, writes Sutton, that this was not a Freudian slip on the part of the designer authors. Terry Cook, another researcher aware of the plan for lucid, inquires, so what does lucid mean? What does the initial stand for? Nobody knows. He has suspicions, and he has also taken note of the lucid, lucis, Lucifer connection. According to Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, Cook writes that lucid means suffused with light, luminous or translucent. So that would be obviously Lucifer, the light bearer. If you look up that word, I think it's the third definition that would give you that definition. So they've changed it. They've added 2 different definitions before you'll get to that one.
Are these guys theosophists that created the Lucifer Trust?
Oh, yeah. So this lucid program is ran by like technologists, but these technologists seem to have some connection via their wording with Lucis Trust and like the whole, and he gets into the UN later, I think, in here. On the next page, we're going to get into the UN and how that does connect. So it does all connect together, which is why then we'll be talking about Alice Bailey and the UN and stuff later. Lucid, suffused with light. This suggests, is a definite clue that Lucifer may be lurking behind the scenes. The Bible cautions that Satan or Lucifer does indeed often cloak innocuously and deceptively as a emissary of goodness and righteousness. He and his ministers do not appear as conspiratorial scheming devils and as wicked men, but as angels of light, like the Pleiadians. Thus, it is that every occult system, the priests and theologians emphasize the desire to seek after more light. Like, why is it that all the aliens want us to like ascend and they want us to like have, it's all about this like utopia that they want to give to us, that we have to like grow spiritually to get there. Well, it all matches up with Theosophical Society's view on this planetary hierarchy, which is the same as the Gnostic demiurge.
Yeah, you also hear that a lot with the New Age about the aliens that are, coming back. They're waiting for humanity to evolve to hit a certain point until they come back. So here's that idea that they expect us to
Oh yeah, the
change.
age
Yeah.
of Aquarius.
Yeah.
So Lucis Trust, incorporated in 1922 as Lucifer Publishing and located on the United Nations Plaza in New York City, and The Dark Secrets of the New Age, Mystery Mark of the New Age, and New Age Occults and Religions. These are 3 books that he wrote. Texe Marrs examines the Lucis Trust and its subsidiary organizations. He shows that it's closely affiliated with the United Nations leadership and that the Lucis Trust membership includes powerful men such as Robert McNamara, former Secretary of Defense and former head of the World Bank. The Lucis Trust is formally accredited as a non-governmental organization, an NGO, and we know what they like to do with NGOs. He also proves that Lucis is derived from the combining names of Lucifer and Isis.
Well,
Lucis Trust.
Yeah. Real quick, that kind of is. That's kind of like.
That's back to the lady thing.
The lady coming back, and then all that gives the power to the beast, right?
Yes. Yeah. The Whore of Babylon riding on the beast. That's exactly right. And the beast could be the system. And yep. And the whore could be the church that it rides on. And I guess could be anything. This new one world religion, which is the Whore of Babylon, the Babylon religion, Mystery Babylon.
Yeah.
Hence why we'll be doing a Mystery Babylon series. Bill Cooper, I didn't forget, I promise. I've just been really busy with this research.
Boy, was he right about Alex Jones, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, he sure was, dude. Which who also says we need to ascend and recapture our old abilities that we used to have, just like the Theosophists.
Well, I don't know if I said it earlier, but literally he made a New Year's post about 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago about ushering in humanity 2.0, just like Elon Musk was talking about. Like verbatim, that's what he said.
Well, what t-shirt was he selling? Wasn't he selling some t-shirt that was like, oh, fuck, I can't remember, dude.
Well, he was selling, what was interesting, that he was selling a Holy War t-shirt within a week of Charlie Kirk being married. So you got to ask yourself, why is an intelligence operation selling Holy War shirts?
The Christian martyr ushers in the new watchful order.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Meanwhile,
wait, real quick, I think that's why he was killed. I 100% believe that's why Charlie Kirk, not because he was turning against the Zionist movement.
No, it was a sacrifice.
It was a sacrifice. And I also think he's more powerful to both sides as a martyr.
Absolutely. And entropy is something I've been studying as well. And I've been studying so many fucking things, dude. And they all fucking come together in a weird way, but it's just entropy. Okay. And this is important for what you just said. Dissolve, coagulate, entropy. This is the idea of like, I've just started studying. Whatever. I got notes and I haven't fully gotten to it. But energy harvesting operations are ran through a system called entropy. I'll try not to be boring here, but essentially they'll use, whenever energies get so high, they'll use a sacrifice as a scapegoat to essentially get rid of, to release the energies, the built up tension, if you will. And so this is the idea of entropy, like bubble up and then pop, bubble up and pop, like the markets do. So like they use entropy for financial systems. They use entropy for socio systems like Charlie Kirk. Everything's building up to this mass. You want to build it, or if you want to build it up to a critical mass, you have a sacrifice and then point it to a scapegoat, which is Israel, and then have us go do things for it to keep. That's what we're doing.
Do you know entropy. Do you know where the idea of scapegoat comes from and this releasing of energy? It comes from the Old Testament when they would they would all touch this is what God said to do. They would have 2 goats and they would all touch one goat and transfer all their sinful, I guess you could say, energy or sins to that goat and then send it out into the wilderness for Azazel.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the scapegoat. That's where it kind of derives from.
Yeah, that's where it started at. You know what? They did lay that out. I've got that probably in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Sig says, we're going to go on another tangent here. Sig says that Bill Cooper was a PSYOP, military intelligence, and he was a PSYOP. Bill Cooper, he admitted that he was naval intelligence. And he also said that he was given a lot of information that he believed was given to him to put it out. So he believed that he was being manipulated to give out certain information like UFOs. And he actually turned on the ufology movement because he realized it was a big psyop. And if you listen to his Mystery Babylon series, I can't really see where he is being a psyop in that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with going into that, because we're not speaking about, I don't know, like there's nothing wrong with the Mystery Babylon. And I think you should listen to more of him. If you can find his radio show on YouTube, I recommend it, because I don't know, man. There's not much I really disagree with that the guy says. I mean, there's some things, but he's pretty on point with a lot. So
Yeah, he
just
is.
saying, just saying.
But hey, we should always keep our head on a swivel. And at the end of the day, I think it's important to listen to everybody. You know, whether they're good or bad. I don't think we should follow these people, but I think in order to understand what the agenda is, listen to them, right? Because if we want to know what they're trying to do, they use their mouthpieces in the media to do that. So I think it's definitely important to take in the information that they have.
I think so too. And I will say, you know, like I know Tucker Carlson's a psyop and I listen to every episode he puts out. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to know what they're trying to push. And, you know, I did find it weird that Bill Cooper was a part of the Republican like party or whatever. Like he was a part of like some Republican committee. And I was like, well, they definitely, the RNC committee. And I'm like, well, they definitely use that to fund people to serve narratives. So there is an aspect to that. Like when you're talking about the militia narratives he would serve, or when he was talking about Waco, or when he talked about Ruby Ridge, I think he was being funded to put a lot of those talking points out there when he was talking about that stuff, because he wanted to build this right-wing militia system so that way they could dox them and then take their shit. I think he served a purpose for that. And I think that's why he even met the Unabomber at one point and they minimized it. But I think there's something to that. So I'll give you that. There's some oddities.
There's also some ties to his name and Demolo International.
He said he was in it as a child, and he said he said that doesn't indicate that you have to be a part of something. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you.
We'll see. Yeah,
dude. Why do all these guys have to be a part of something like that?
That's why we should.
Can one of them be clean?
That's why we should only follow Jesus, because man is infallible, right? I mean, I'm infallible. You're infallible. There's some people who are more infallible that actually, you know, sell their soul to the agenda, but only stay with Jesus. Doesn't mean we can't learn from these people. In fact, I feel the same way about that as a lot of my quote unquote conspiracy heroes. They're no longer my heroes once I got further down the rabbit hole. But I definitely did learn from some stuff from them from the very past. It definitely plays a role in how I view the world today.
Absolutely, dude. I read the Satanic Bible before praying for protection, or after praying for protection, rather. And I fucking read that, dude, and you get some answers out of like what they're thinking. I mean, these people, like, I get it. I know what they're thinking, dude. And it's shit. They want man to become God. They believe that they're going to be one with this God that they worship and everything else. And, you know, it used to be like this in the old days. That's why they had God kings that were one with God. They really believed these were men who were gods because they literally, you know, whatever. But it's just the old cult of Set. It's coming back, really. And that's why you had the Temple of Set created by Michael Aquino.
Isn't that just we'll get back, but isn't that just the most wild thing in the world? Literally the guy who ran propaganda and, you know, mind control literally was a Satanist. And he even, that's so much how entertaining, I guess, the world is that he even had those evil eyebrows. Like he fit the bill perfectly.
No, absolutely. It's like you couldn't have like tried harder to be who you are. You know, I'll give him that. The guy knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? He really knew himself. You know, and that's really what they serve. That what they try to teach is just to know yourself to the level of godhood.
Yeah.
So it says, meanwhile, Crusett is a medical doctor who officially holds the position of Lucid Systems designer. He's also on staff of Interpol as a medical officer. So this guy is definitely deep state. And wait, where did he talk about? I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they talked about. I think I fucked up because we were talking and I lost.
Oh, my bad.
The point was. No, you're good. I just don't know. Oh, okay. It just goes on into this whole thing. So he keeps talking about Crusett for a while. So he's a medical doctor. Crusett is an official representative of a foreign police agency working with a non-governmental organization. And as he mentioned, Lucis Trust is accredited as a NGO of the UN. So he's like a part of the system, is what he's trying to lay out. So it is apparent to me as a researcher, Anthony Sutton and Terry Cook discovered designers Crusett and Hilaris are very reluctant to reveal the true meaning of the acronym LUCID. So they're trying to get out of him, what does LUCID mean? And so that's what he's kind of laying out. So they were able to locate Dr. Crusett at a company called Berkmeyer Software Development in New York City. Berkmeyer was another CIA proprietary organization. When Crusett refused to talk to them, they interviewed a Mr. Bernardo Lamb, a technical specialist at the firm. And then they keep going, whatever. So let me try to get to where they actually talk to him. Finally, perhaps noting our dogged persistence, the doctor emailed us a message in which he claims that LUCID stands for Logical Universal Communications Interactive Data Bank. Crusett also maintains that he and Hilaris are not a governmental payroll, but are entrepreneurs, and LUCID R&D has been a privately generated venture. So anyway, LUCID will, he added, complement and enhance the international justice system. So he did add that at the end. So he's saying like, yeah, it's going to be used for the justice system. It's going to be used like to track everything and everything else. So he kind of admitted it, but he won't admit the esoteric value of Lucifer. Very crazy. I think that's all he kind of, I'm going to keep going from there because that's probably it. It is the hidden chiefs of the National Security Agency, their understanding in the know, and especially their superiors in the inner circle of the Illuminati, whom we can rightly brand as the culprits behind naming this company. It is they who have conceived this colossal project and will finalize it and set it in motion. If they do not repent, these men will be found guilty on the judgment day for unspeakable crimes and treachery against God and man. Facts.
We all will have to pay the piper, including these evil assholes who are trying to kill everybody and turn us gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to tell my parents that agenda at Easter or Ishtar Day. So you got to understand, the main role of the government, what they want to do is either kill us or turn us gay. It kind of fell on deaf ears, but I tried.
No, dude. I'm sure they didn't want to hear that. They're like, well, nobody's turning me gay.
I said,
and I don't want to hear that somebody's trying to kill me. Nobody wants to hear that. In 1945, President Harry Truman, a 33rd degree Mason, a national security apparatus began to take shape. The arms of the octopus, it's important he says this, the octopus-like monster, he keeps saying that for a reason because he refers to the octopus murders later, which is a part of the building this system, the Prometheus scandal, which Robert Maxwell was a part of. So, very important. So, Central Intelligence Agency, Air Force Security Service, and Naval Intelligence Service, and the NSA all were created under Truman for internal security acts and crime control. Bills and anti-terrorist legislations were all passed. So that's kind of the building of it. He gets into like all these, I mean, there's a lot. That,
real quick. So
it
said that Truman was a 33-degree Mason, and isn't Truman the one that warned us about the military-industrial complex?
No, that was what's his name? Eisenhower.
Okay, I was like, is that revelation of the method right there?
No, Truman's the one who dropped the fucking nuclear bomb on Hiroshima.
Right.
Okay. Right. So he's the guy who bombed Christians. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, great guy. You know, he's from my home state. I don't know if you did the Wax Museum whenever you were in elementary school, but I was Harry S. Truman. And I did like a biography on him and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty fucked up because I didn't know that at the time. They didn't say anything about that. They didn't mention all this. Yeah. So you know, they created that, you know, all the NIC, NSC, NED, all those things. So we'll move past all that. So this is the first time I've ever seen anybody mention a shadow government. At least maybe somebody has before, but he talks about shadow government or the deep state. And he says, other knowledgeable Americans who cherish the Constitution and its Bill of Rights, and who, unlike the dumbed-down masses, are aware of the hideous federal and global behemoth now slouching towards us. That'd be everybody here. In Perception magazine, Boylan listed a number of secret, often dangerous, and hugely expensive agencies, projects, and groups of the three branches, what he calls the shadow government. A large, hidden second government in which the country, or that parallels the country, both legally and financially. Their activities, he noted, are completely unknown to the average taxpayer funding them. That's crazy.
Oh, I mean, is that what Catherine Austin Fitts is kind of talking about? That $21 trillion that was siphoned for them to roll out their black ops projects?
It's exactly what she was talking about. I just wonder how he knew all this, you know?
Yeah.
God. They're going to libraries and like they're reading in libraries to find this shit out.
Yeah. Well, did he have connections to these intelligence agencies or something like that?
Not that I know of. I mean, he was in the military and that was it as far as I know.
Yeah. When it comes to also controlled opposition and stuff like that, I think a lot of guys don't even know they're controlled opposition. And I think
me too.
it might show, like Bill Cooper, right? It might be a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Where they show you stuff knowing that you're going to go share it with people. Or Bob Lazar, I think, is a perfect example.
Oh,
of that.
yeah, dude. Absolutely, he is. I don't trust that dude as far as I could throw him. I think he was, he's lying because he said something about when he worked at Los Alamos, they used to know about Zorro Ranch, Epstein Zorro Ranch, and they used to call it like Freaky Ranch or something like that. But here's the thing, dude. He worked at Los Alamos in the 80s, and he didn't buy Zorro Ranch until like after he worked there. So there's no way he knew about Zorro Ranch because it wasn't there yet.
That's what
so
he
it's
said.
Like, what do we? Yeah. So it's like you clearly there's some like discrepancies in some things he said where it's like, all right, he's a shill.
Yeah, and it's also funny that he and I shouldn't say funny because it's sad, but he also got caught up in a whole hooker ring or something like that in Las Vegas.
Yeah, dude, he was getting freaky at Zorro Ranch if it was around.
Yeah.
So the common link in these programs, let's get to the database of the program. This is everything we talk about on 6G Agenda all the time. So we're getting there. The common link in these systems and programs is to build an information substructure, a web of connected databases and high-speed networks that will make data instantly available to federal, state, and local law enforcement officials. That is Palantir, Flock, the whole, Geospatial Institute, everything. So we're in it, dude. And so what does this do? So almost from the day President Clinton assumed office, it became obvious. The secret guardians of national security and public order were fully prepared to pervert the new generation of information technologies into a monstrously sophisticated digitotalitarian police state. He made up his own word there, dude. So anyway, he talks about automatic spying, automatic profiling, digital identity, social control mechanisms, smart cards, digital cash, of course.
Think about automatic spying. Today, what do we all have in our pockets?
Exactly.
A cell phone.
We're there. Yeah.
That's what's, not to go off of this tangent, but that's what's so funny about the whole Egyptian plane theory that they were spying on Charlie. It's like, why didn't they just track his cell phone?
Yeah, exactly, dude. No, they like to have all this technology and then not use it in a weird way when it comes to like investigations and shit. It's like you're just using it to track us, not to actually solve any crimes like that we want solved.
So, question: do you think this, whether it's a psyop or not, I don't know. It definitely might be used as a psyop, but this idea that these 12 scientists who are developing this futuristic tech that looks like it's going to play into this, digital third temple in some way. Do you think it's connected to that?
Yeah. No, the whole thing, that's the third temple. Yeah, I think that like the utopia that you're going to be given whenever you plug into this system, you're not going to become like a Superman. Like that's not going to happen. I think that the whole thing is really a control system because, okay, as above, so below. If you don't really receive, which we'll go into this whenever I get into my writings on Alice Bailey, but if assuming that you don't receive any special knowledge in these secret societies, and the whole point is to actually deceive, manipulate, and control people, and the higher you go, the better you learn how to do that. And then at the end, you realize there's no secret except for how to control. If that's the case, then if these people are selling us that we're going to be superhuman gods, right? Just like secret societies tell them. But when we plug in and get initiated, right? We actually realize, oh, it's just a control system. That's all it is, dude. It's literally a secret society that's been digitized and everybody's going to be controlled in it. That's all it is. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting anything special out of it, honestly. Maybe a select few elites will, to maintain their godlike authority over everybody else, and that would be it.
Well, I don't think it's any different than we have it now. I mean, we get a certain level of technology and the elites keep it to themselves. So maybe once they usher this in, there's going to be even a higher level of technology. And
there's going to be upside. There's going to be upside for them. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
it's all
we don't
downside
get
for us.
Yes.
It's all downside for us.
They don't care about us.
We maintain a semblance of life, and that's about it. You know what I mean? Like whatever that looks like. The next chapter says no place left to hide. If you know what the Geospatial Institute is, that is something that's connected with Palantir. It's gridding it's what its name implies. Geological, spatial, so the space institute for geologically gridding the space. That's all it is. So they're gridding everything with the cameras, the flock, the sensors, everything. And then they're like tracking people through there. It's like an NSA subsidiary. That's where my buddy worked. I told him to get the fuck out of.
Get out of there.
I was like, dude, get the fuck out of there. I was like, dude, the guy that runs that place said you're gonna have nowhere left to hide. And then the name for this chapter says no place left to hide, dude. It literally says that you could run into cave. The guy said you could run into a cave and we'd find you. Like, there's no.
Well, I hate to break it to you. They're probably spying on their employees even more, and they probably got your conversation with them on some database somewhere. So
no, they do. They do. And that's why I said earlier, selfishly, I'm adjacent to them, and I talk about a little bit too much shit to be getting doxxed. You know what I'm saying? So in a strange quirk of occultic fate, LucidNet, Lucifer is doing his pitiful best to mimic God. The Bible tells us that when the Lord returns, men shall not be able to flee his great wrath. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and free man hid themselves in dens and rocks in the mountains, and said to the mountain rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Lucifer, in a pale imitation of Almighty God, is attempting to establish a well-ordered, closed planetary system of human control. And that's everything we always talk about, the 6G agenda. That is the 6G agenda right there, dude. So we could skip a little past. I'm going to skip past and go to this SS Gestapo innovations. Surveillance technology will enjoy a fast track into all of our daily lives. It's so funny, man, because this is like Palantir. You couldn't have described Palantir. We talk about ICE and call them Gestapo police, but they're using Palantir. Technology. So that's exactly what we're seeing. It's literally everything he talks about here. Anyway, Davies is speaking only of the technological capability of the government to intrude into our private lives with its spy and surveillance wizardry. It's funny they use that word, wizardry, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The identification techniques used by Lucid are already developed. Whatever its designers say, are extraordinarily invasive of personal liberties. And what's more, the system will become even more all-powerful as newer, more precise, and more dictatorial, efficient, hideous technologies are developed. So we'll leave it there, because that leads right into Palantir. We talk about everything else that book talks about every day on this show, as far as like we take it farther, smart dust, the sentient world simulation. Like, we've talked about all that. More importantly, the police state Gestapo Palantir system is what I want to lead us into as we get into this digital third temple discussion that we're going to have over the weekend. And as I talk about Alice Bailey's work with the Theosophical Society and how this UFO, alien, free energy, reverse engineered tech, all these scientists going missing right before this movie comes out about aliens from Spielberg, and it's all about channeling aliens. That's all coming soon. And so, yeah, we got to talk about that this weekend. So I'm really excited.
One more interesting thing about Palantir, we know the name derives from, what was I about to say? What's that movie? Where do they get the name Palantir from?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, what's interesting is I remember now, Amazon actually did a television show, Lord of the Rings. I don't know if it's still going, but when it shows, I believe it's
about the elves.
Well, it's in the first episode though. And you know, Gandalf, it shows a bunch of like fireballs coming down to Earth, crashing. And out of that fireball came Gandalf. What does Genesis 6:4 talk about? The fallen angels coming down to Earth. What does Enoch talk about? Coming down to, what's it called? So right there should tell you everything you need to know.
Oh, dude, I got to show you this now. I got to show you this now. What's the island? What's the island? Alcatraz. Look at this. Look at this, dude. Hold on a second. Let me find it. They're putting a Prometheus statue on Alcatraz Island, I think I saw.
Right now?
Yeah, and Prometheus, you know, that's who you just described, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Knowledge bearer.
Yeah, there's a massive, yep, 450-foot tall, $450 million Prometheus statue that's being put on Alcatraz Island, aims to symbolize American ingenuity and creativity.
Who's building that?
God.
Is America putting that up there?
Yeah, dude, we're doing this.
Our government is putting that up there.
Yeah, dude, Alcatraz Island. Yeah, dude, Trump's bringing in all the good stuff. He's got the fucking Solomon's Temple coming in. Let's see who's making it. Yeah, MAGA. Why it says MAGA on the fucking headline.
And isn't
magnifies Silicon? Yeah, hoping to magnify Silicon Valley skyline.
Well, there you go. Prometheus brought technology to the people, right?
Yeah, and what's Trump doing? He's bringing fucking Lucifer's doctrine to, you know, the whole thing that we're, you know, it merges everything together. It's beautiful. You know, Trump is a character, you know, no matter who you are and what you think, Trump is going to be somebody that's probably one of the most important characters, definitely of our time, but maybe of like a century at least. And I mean, when it comes to his story, his name, the implications of what he brings in following his reign. I mean, dude, like, let's get into it. I mean, his last name's Trump, and Trump cards, right? In the tarot arcana, the Trump cards represent all of the demiurges. Every card represents each god, right? Or planet, or astrological aspect, or archetype. That's what it's just many names for one fucking thing. All the lipstick you want to choose. And so, he has the name Trump. And of course, he posts himself as the magician, a tarot card, which I think is funny because that's a major arcana in the Trumps. And so I think that's hilarious because everybody's calling him Jesus in that, but it's really a magician.
Yeah.
And finally, his dad's middle name's Christ.
Well, I mean, that one lady said it all, the one who does the spirit cooking. And this is why she opposed to Trump. And you think that she's, you know, running in liberal circles and Democratic circles. And she was on video saying he's the magician.
Yes, he the master magician, the best of all that will bring in a new age. We should play that.
Yeah.
Can I point something out? Everybody that's listening, notice how Wikipedia here. I hope you guys are listening because I think this is fascinating. Fred Trump is the name here. But if you look closely, his name's Frederick Christ Trump. So his dad's name is literally, his middle name is Christ. Just so you guys know. I don't know if anybody knew that, but that's a fact. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
It goes into, you know, he's born 3 months after the Babylon workings on a blood moon eclipse. He's the master magician. MAGA means magus or magician in the satanic cult. It's the highest degree. Like, what are we talking about here, dude? I mean, this is literally as serious and important as it gets. I can't believe we're living in this time.
And think about this. I mean, when all the agenda was playing out, what were the talking points of the mainstream alternative media? Oh, he's just surrounded by bad people. He's influenced by these people. It's like, no. He's the master magician. That's all a magic trick. And these influences are the mouthpiece of that magic trick.
Oh, absolutely.
And another thing, I'm going to say this to be hyperbolic, but he literally arranged his daughter to marry Jared Kushner, whose family owns the 666 building. Practicing Kabbalists. Like, guys, he knows exactly what he's doing.
No, absolutely he does. He fucking knows, dude. It was all pre-planned, you know, and people are like, oh, is Tucker starting to realize that all this was pre-planned? It's like, no, he's not realizing it. He's a part of the fucking plan.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on, dude.
Oh, did you see when Tucker came out and called him the Antichrist?
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah. No. So, and that's one thing. And you know, um, I was always a suspect of that, because if you look at least the last 4 or 5 years, they're really painting Trump to be this antichrist figure, from the Cyrus coin with the third temple on it, this board of peace. But I wonder, and I know RGZ is going to nail me for saying it's actually the short season, but which we might be, but I wonder if they're trying to prop up Trump as this antichrist figure to deceive the elect. Because I think it says, even if possible, the elect will be deceived. So if everybody looking for the antichrist thinks it's Trump, when this being comes back, the next guy that comes, right, that might be some type of hybrid Nephilim or whatever you want to call it, with these supernatural powers, you can see how they might think that that's Jesus.
Oh yeah. No, I think that I'm with you. And you know, I just don't ascribe an opinion to that. I'm like, all right, well, I know that it's this system, and I know that there's people, anybody who denies Christ is antichrist. It says that in the Bible. So I don't get too caught up with that.
Well,
like,
that's smart.
He denies Christ. He literally denies him. So yeah, he's antichrist. Yeah, 100%.
The correct term actually would be the beast. Nowhere in Revelations does it even say antichrist. Antichrist is a type of ideology that's mentioned in the gospel, to your point.
There it is. So it's like, why are we waiting on an antichrist whenever it doesn't say that necessarily, right? So but okay, so let's hang out for a little bit longer. So I'm not fucking busy either, dog.
No.
So
I took the morning off.
Yeah, me too. So this is very important here, because this kind of segues us. All my research has been just convoluting together. It's just led into like multiple weeks of study. That's why I've been dropping like episodes, like kind of double dropping episodes on YouTube, whatever. But all right, we're all cut up now, so it's all good. But I saw this. It's called Good Dog, the Palantir Manifesto, Plasma Gods, and the Externalization of the Hierarchy. That's the book that I'm talking about, that I'll be breaking down in detail over the weekend. But here's a little teaser for how all of these things connect together. What we're talking about with Project L.U.C.I.D, this here, Palantir, what Palantir posted the other day, it all connects. And the UFO plasma fucking orb shit with Chris Bledsoe and all that. So, Dr. Heather Lynn, she really is fucking good, dude. She's just good. She's got some good shit, dude.
She does. I don't agree with everything she says, but her research into the digital third temple, Steve Bannon being this massive magician, dude, it was very interesting to listen to her talk. Yeah,
it's on point. But the thing is, I agree with you, because she just put out a new thing yesterday, and it says, I've been dropping a lot of dark research on you guys, and I've been getting a lot of the same question. And the question is, what do we do now? And she's saying that, now this is interesting. She says that she said she's launching a new thing for people who pay. And what it is essentially, the way she described it is, in all of her research that these occultists use this stuff to do bad shit with, she has found that there is a way to protect yourself that people have used, and like, you know, all this philosophy. I think she's going to pretty much espouse Gnosticism in some weird way. And so I just say, you know, I don't know, I'm maybe judging it before it's came out, so maybe I should look at it first. But from what I could tell, she's taking the studies into the Gnostic mystery cults, and she's trying to show how it could be positive, from what I can decipher.
Well, one thing that was a red flag for me, and like I said, this is just me kind of, my initial reaction, just being honest. When she was talking about her history, she was employed
at the UN
by these elites that she talked about.
At the UN, dude, the UN. Yeah. Who are we talking? We're talking about Theosophists, Gnostics, that believe that you're supposed to, like, literally, she's literally about to teach you all this truth, and then she's going to draw you in to this theosophical belief system that literally she just told you about. That's crazy to me, but that's exactly what I kind of see coming with that, and it's really sad because it makes sense. You know, of course, dude, she blows up out of nowhere. I mean, you know, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. What do I know?
What do I know? Yeah.
What do I know? I know she has some good information. So like Tucker, I'll read it, and I'll read it with discernment, and I'll use my discernment, and that's all I could do.
Yeah.
But all right, am I showing the screen right now?
You are showing the screen.
Fuck yeah.
It's from that article about Palantir.
Yeah, good dog, it says. I wonder why she says that. We'll get to it. So there's a phrase you can say to a dog that makes the dog's body change. The dog does not speak English, Say the words anyway and watch, and the posture shifts. The tail moves, something in the animal reorganizes itself around your voice. We're not going to go through this whole thing. So this week, Palantir Technologies, as I'll be discussing over the weekend, published a 22-point manifesto, which is funny they call it that because that's what they always call things that are done by, like, I don't know, bombers, killers, dictators. They usually call it a manifesto, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you
Like
had the
Mein Kampf.
manifesto. Yeah, it's always put out there. Who inspires these manifestos?
But the
Who
name
writes
of it
them?
is always manifesto is the name of it. That's why I think it's funny. Like, they never call it just the doc. I don't know. It's just manifesto always describes to me like you're a murderous person.
You're crazy, right? That's kind of like
Yeah.
the image
All
we
right.
get in our minds when we hear that word.
Mm-hmm. So it's a summary of a book called, oh, yeah. And I read some of this book and I never got into it on the show. And I'm going to have to sometime. So you've read like Plato's Republic, right? Or at
Oh
least
no, I've not.
you've
I've
heard
heard
of
of
it
it.
though.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay. So Plato's Republic is a very obviously popular book of how to run, places, whatever. So Alex Karp has put himself on the level of Plato, which I think is so funny. He wrote a book called Technological Republic, Hard Power, Soft Belief in the Future of the West. And I just think that he's really, I mean, come on, it's about how to run government, and it's called the Republic, very close to the Republic.
Well, I think once again, I think they draw all their inspiration from the past. They just repackage it and call it something different.
Well, and Plato talked about Atlantis.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, dude. He was initiated in the pyramids.
And once again, as a Greek philosopher at the time, he would have worshipped the pantheon of gods.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was I want to say Egypt was full Osirian cult shit, like ISIS and the whole deal.
Yeah.
So it says read the manifesto yourself, which we will be doing over the weekend. That's why I just skipped over it. I just want to get to the context of like what she's kind of getting at, because I think that will lead us into the teachings over the weekend.
All right.
People are calling it creepy and they're right, et cetera, et cetera. She talks a lot in this. The structure is catethetical. 22 points arranged around a moral debt, a priesthood summoned a duty, an eschatology of inevitable war, a rejection of rival priesthoods, and a restoration of hierarchy, a declaration that pluralism is civilizational decadence. And put any of these in the mouth of a medieval pope or an ancient temple. I thought this was going to be something interesting. The genre is theocracy. So she's saying, like I've been saying for a long time, it's going to be some form of a theocratic, technocratic police state. Very much like The Handmaid's Tale. But the theology they're following is nothing that we want anything to do with.
Yeah. Nothing.
22 is the number of letters in the Hebrew alphabet. The tarot has 22 major arcana. Revelation has 22 chapters, and a company could have picked any number for a summary. This one picks 22.
That's what I'm saying. Is this the demon inside of him? It's got to be. Because I mean, I just see Alex Karp as a obnoxious cokehead personally, but yes. It's the demon inside of him.
It is. So the company is named Palantir. Of course, we talked about this, Tolkien, the Dark Lord. But what's important is in this story, they're corrupted by the Dark Lord, who uses them to deceive the people who look into the stones. So the founders of this company did not pick the name at random. People talk about how it's a seeing stone, but they do always leave that part out. Like they did make it into a dark thing. So it's a scrying stone company, essentially. And now here's where we get to the part that I'm talking about. 100-year curriculum. In 1919, a woman named Alice Bailey began to produce a body of written work that she claimed had been dictated to her telepathically by a Tibetan master. Over the following 3 decades, Bailey published 24 books, and they are the foundational curriculum of a global network of esoteric schools. The organization she founded is called Lucis Trust. It operates the Arcane School, a mail and email correspondence program in 8 languages. Now, it maintains consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and it has been headquartered at various points. New York, London, and Geneva, which is funny because all 3 of those places are very interesting to choose.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
dude,
yeah,
Switzerland's crazy.
Right. That's what I mean. Like Geneva, where CERN is, of course.
Yeah.
They have Shiva, the creator and destroyer outside, which she talks about
Yeah.
this planetary hierarchy that's coming, which will be a creative and destructive force, just like Shiva.
And it's interesting, when I was looking into like symbols and flags and stuff like that, there's actually a city in Switzerland where their flag is two giants.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit. Well,
Yeah.
you know what's funny? So you know the ibogaine shit that just came out?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Once again, when it comes to that, who's pushing it? That's why we should be suspect.
Well, Joe Rogan stood right. Joe Rogan fucking stands right behind Trump after talking shit on him for the past couple weeks, and then he stands behind him like a cuck, like where his head's facing Joe Rogan the whole time.
Yeah.
Gilgamesh is an ibogaine pharmaceutical company.
Wait, it's called Gilgamesh?
Yes, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Bro.
It's an Israeli company.
That's what he's pushing right now?
Yes. People don't even point that out.
Company named after a giant.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Good find. Good find.
Thank you. I know. I looked up. I was like, what companies on the pharmaceutical companies for ibogaine? First one I see, Gilgamesh. I'm like, well, I don't even care about the other ones. They're all owned by Israel, but I care about this one more than any of them.
I'm going to make a video on that and definitely give you credit for it, dude. That is a great find.
Thank you, brother. And, they're also, if you saw the lab-made chocolate that they're doing, that's another Israeli-owned company that's going to be making chocolate, the cocoa butter for the chocolate in a lab. So stop buying fucking chocolate. You can't even buy Toblerones anymore. That shit ain't even good anymore.
But you can buy DMT chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll just have, they put nanotechnology in all the fucking edibles and stuff for weed now.
Do you think they do?
No, they absolutely do. My buddy bought edibles and showed it. Like, he sent a picture of it and said, "What is this?" And he knows that I have this show, obviously. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I start looking it up. I don't take edibles, so I didn't know this. And I start looking it up, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, okay, so what do they do? And they tried to kind of word it where they're like, well, they diffuse the THC with nanotechnology so it like goes faster. It's like this weird thing. I'm like, so what are they doing? Are they putting nanotechnology in your body? I'm super confused. And by nanotechnology, do you mean that it's a chemical substance that's small, or do you mean it's a like digital substance that's small? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does nanotechnology imply? Like nanotechnology, what is the definition of that?
Yeah. I mean, it could just as easy as chemicals or that they call technology that we can't see that are making major changes within our body.
Maybe so. This is how we get to the bottom of things. It's a branch of technology that deals with dimensions of less than 100 nanometers. So technically, it could be chemical and technological. Okay. So I don't know exactly what that means when it comes to THC, but whatever. I guess it doesn't necessarily mean they're programming your body, but I still wouldn't trust it.
Man, I still can't get over that Gilgamesh find that you got.
I know, dude.
You need to send that to Tripoli.
I will. I definitely will. You're right, dude. I should. He answers me, dude. We'll DM sometime.
He does, yeah. And the only reason I say that, because he was kind of backing. I guess it's his buddy. I get it. We all have our blind spots and stuff. But he was like backing it. It's like, well, let's just say it is true that it helps with that. What's the big deal? But I was like, wait a minute. You should say, Sam, just check out this.
I know. I'm gonna be like, hey, did you see this? And just leave it at that.
Yeah. I think he's mad at me, but whatever.
You think so? Oh, because you call out Joe?
I might go too hard in the paint. Whatever.
Well, you go after influencers, dude. That's your game. I mean, not all of it, but that's a big part of it. Is like, like these guys are out here shilling, and somebody's got to call them out. You have a very good knack for finding, like, you and 7Cs are very good with that. So somebody's got to do it. Yeah. I'm busy looking at esoteric philosophies.
We all have our lane. We all have our lane. Yeah.
Like, I'm busy looking at esoteric philosophies and how they culminate into this digital world panopticon that's coming. And like, it's just a very fringe area of conspiracy that I'm in versus, you know what I mean? Like it mixes everything together that everybody else talks about. So it's kind of a perfect thing for me because I do enjoy talking about everything, but it's pretty much that is the basis of most of my shit. I don't go into like who funds who all the time or all that. I don't have time for all that. They're like, you're really good with genealogy. By the way, did you know that these elites go by the genealogy of their mothers? So you could probably find more information by following the mother's line than you will with the father's.
And by the way, that's counterfeit bullshit, dude. Because if you look at the Bible, and that's what,
Right. It's the opposite. Yeah.
They derived that from the Talmud in a specific passage where your mother has to be Jewish for you to be Jewish, but that's quite the opposite in the Bible. It's all a patriarchal lineage.
It's inversion. It's inversion.
Inversion, yeah.
So, but that's my point. When you do genealogy work, do you follow the mother and the father, or just the mother or father?
I'll do both, but it is interesting where they come from. Like I said, to me, when it comes to the system of control, and I do a little bit of genealogy work, but I just have a simple rule, right? And it always payoffs. You never look like an idiot when truth comes to light. They're all in on it.
Yeah. That's an easy default too. You know what I mean? It's like true. It's hard to decipher how that's wrong.
And usually you will not be wrong, is all I'm saying. There might be one or two times where you might be wrong, but you're never eating your own words, because that's what you see this entire mainstream alternative media complex doing right now. They're having to eat their own words.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know. That's
exactly what it is every time. It's partly a humiliation ritual, but that's how they work. Yeah. At surface level, now this is important. This is what we're getting to over the weekend. Yes. At surface level, it seems like a standard New Age group promoting love and light. Their exoteric presentation is that of a collection of empathetic and sophisticated people wanting world peace and the spiritual and moral evolution of humanity. We'll move past her little note there. By the way, I'll leave a link in the episode, or I'll leave a link in the show for this, so you guys can check this out if you want. You can read the whole thing. However, what they actually teach is a mechanistic, measurable plasma and electricity cosmology. That's important, because that's what we're getting into with the whole UFO aspect to this theology. And then we're going to get to the theology, how it's all about planetary hierarchy, essentially alluding to like the Anunnaki are coming and they're going to make contact. It's all this ancient alien theory came out of this. So if you want to know where they came up with all these things, it's literally from this. So we're going to get to the basis of it over the weekend. They teach that the universe is fundamentally electrical, and that electromagnetism is the true source of every phenomenon on every plane of existence. And by the way, guys, if you look up plasma takes up 99% of the universe. Did you know that? Science is proving the theosophist right, just so you know. Modern cosmology is only now beginning to describe, through the work of plasma cosmologists, that the human body is an electrical apparatus whose purpose is to receive and transmit currents from higher planes. They construct an electrical bridge called the antakarana, and between the individual and the soul and the divine hierarchy, or this planetary hierarchy. The blood itself carries the electrical charge of primordial fire, and the mysteries contain the key to the secrets of electricity, which they describe as the greatest spiritual science and area of divine knowledge in the world. Now, remember, guys, I've said this so many times on this show. Fire, when you alchemicalize it, turns into electricity. That is why Zeus holds the lightning bolt. Zeus essentially represents Sata Kamura in their teachings. It's the same thing. It represents, the leader of the hierarchy, whatever, and how they hold this electrical magnetic energy. And that's why it is the greatest spiritual science that they have. Well,
think about this. Whose uncle was in charge with taking all of Tesla's work, who, by the way, was an occultist? Trump's.
Exactly. John G. Trump.
Yeah. And isn't that wild that, what's his name? Who did I just say? Tesla was staying on the 33rd floor.
No, he operated on certain numerical values. Yeah. Like he only stayed in certain rooms. He only stayed on certain floors. And of course, they correlated with the mystery schools, because he said Egypt has the source of all like knowledge, essentially. And that 369 was discovered, like the universal language of that mathematical coding was discovered in Egypt, and he got it from there. And he said, this is how you discover, like, the coding of the universe. This is how you discover the secrets to the universe.
And he's actually 1 degree of separation from Aleister Crowley. So there was some Russian bastard child of some prince that was a
Hmm.
connection between him and Aleister Crowley, which I thought was interesting.
Get the fuck out. He's 1 degree of connection away from the guy who wrote the book about Trump too, which was like 100 years before Trump.
Yeah, that stuff's wild.
Right. So the guy who wrote the book was friends with Tom Sawyer, Mark Twain, right?
Mhm.
And Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer, whatever his real name is, he was friends with Tesla. So you have this weird connection, this little three, maybe they met. They definitely knew the same people. So it's pretty odd, isn't it?
Oh, hey, all these
Like, what the
guys have
fuck
these
does that mean?
connections. All these
Yeah,
guys
like,
have the weird connections.
I know. It's like when they're 1 degree away from each other, you kind of have to assume, like, even though it's not officially like they're connected, I mean, you got to
Yeah.
kind of,
They run in
come on.
the same satanic circles.
Yeah, which
Or
means
should I
like,
say luminous circles, right? They run in the same luminous circles.
yeah. And so Nikola Tesla channeled things, right?
That's where I got the
And
info from.
right. And so, I mean, I wonder if like this divine hierarchy gave him and bestowed him this knowledge so that way he could give it over to this guy who wrote this book. And then it became true later. And everybody's like, we live in a simulation. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want, because I know channeling is kind of a thing. Like, I think that is real, but it's coming
Oh,
from these,
without a doubt.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's coming from these little G gods. And obviously, they could probably even tell the future, especially if they know that they're going to like do the Babylon workings through Jack Parsons and all this stuff later. Like, it's not like they don't know things. I mean, the priests have said that these demons know the future and they know the end and what'll probably happen,
Yeah.
but they still do it anyway. So that alludes to these guys knowing what's going to in the future, what's going to happen, right? So
And what I
something
also
to think
find,
about.
and one thing I've also been thinking about, you just brought up, simulation theory, electronic universe, um, dimensional theory, and all that kind of stuff. All of this science breakthroughs that they've made over the past 30, 50 years, whatever you want to call it, they're all secular ways of describing the truth within the Bible. Because if we live in a simulation, what does that mean? That means that the simulation had a creator. This idea of multidimensional reality. You read the Bible, there's many layers of heaven and many layers of hell, right? So
Right.
the abyss within another dimension of, the underworld and all that kind of stuff. So I always find it interesting that new science is just pointing out old biblical truth.
Right. And it also points out a lot of these universal truths that these occultists teach, which is why they're vindicated as well in the process. It talks about Jordan Peterson and how he popularized some stuff about serotonin. And I'll go down to where she gets to what matters. The deeper connection is what the serotonin is measuring. The animal does not compute its rank consciously. Something in the body senses position and adjusts the chemistry. That something is electrical. Neurons communicate through action potentials. Ion pumps maintain the charge gradients that make signaling possible. Serotonin and dopamine are downstream of the electrical activity, not upstream. And so the nervous system is a field phenomenon before it is a chemical one. In other words, electromagnetic stuff obviously can act on the body a lot more. This gets into the idea of plasma, the idea of your chakras, the whole thing, right? The whole occulty little. So that's going to be getting into Alice Bailey's work and this coming of the new age that she talks about. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm excited for it. But yeah, we're going to hammer it over the weekend. We got 2 episodes about that over the weekend. And hopefully Ben can join us for the second part
Yes,
about
I
the
will
third
definitely
temple.
try. Also, I just
Yeah.
wanted to point out, because I think you were reading, and we're always grateful when this happens. You got a couple super chats.
Oh,
I don't know if you paid attention to that. Yes, if you wanted to go up.
Thank you guys. My apologies. Hey, Jeezy Mac, right on, brother. You guys are always awesome together. Hey, I love having Ben on. He's
Yeah, I
my
think you got a couple. Yeah.
He's my other co-host here, Ben.
Hey, we like doing this.
Yeah.
And then I need you to get you on one of mine coming up, and we'll go over it. That's why I like it. We can go in your wheelhouse on yours, and then you'll come on mine, and we'll do my wheelhouse, and we just put together a fun time. We laugh. We got to laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, we always do. Great stuff, gents. Christopher, always coming through. Thank you, brother. And Morpheus, right on, brother. Shiva is also Cernunnos. Cernunnos. Oh, wow.
Well, it's also, gets even crazier. So, if you watch the opening ritual of when CERN starts firing, there's that goat god that's like dancing and stuff. Did you know Cernunnos was a goat god?
No, but they had the goat god dancing. So
if you type in Cernunnos, he is a goat god.
Dude, that's insane. Well, you
Isn't
just
that insane?
Yeah, you just reminded me. I was reading about this hierarchy that's coming, right? She talks about this contact that's going to come. And it's essentially the Anunnaki story, right? And I started thinking, I was like, well, Nibiru is the planet that they're supposed to come on, right? And she's talking about the material in the astral realm, how there was a tear, a rip in it in World War I caused by emotional turmoil. And that since then, it's been slowly merging with the material realm, the astral realm. And so Nibiru, if the Anunnaki or these gods, whatever, are supposed to come on Nibiru, what does Nibiru mean? Why did they name it that? It translates to the crossing, a place of crossing, the crossroads, or a point of transition. This comes from Babylonian astronomy. So Sumerian astronomy, the old Sumerian gods are coming back, and they're going to come back on Nibiru, the crossroads where the astral and material realm meet. And that's exactly what they're saying here.
Well, you know, this is, I mean, way out of left field, and we'll stop this in a little bit, but, you know, there's this idea of New Jerusalem, right? And a lot of people think that that might be some type of ship or something that comes down here. Well, I mean, if they're delivered on Nibiru, I mean, what if that's their version of these fallen angels coming back on something they call Nibiru, which they tell us is a planet right now, but who knows if it comes? I don't know.
No, exactly. And yeah, who knows what it ends up looking or being like? I mean, can't tell the future. I just know that this is what they're building up to. So be on the watch, you know what I mean? Be on the lookout. That's what I mean. Keep your head on a swivel, you know?
Yeah.
And meet me at the crossroads. Remember that, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
yeah.
And the crossroads has always been known as the place where you'd meet the devil whenever you want to sell your soul or whatever. So that's another correlation that, like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is clear. Shout out to the chat. A lot of good stuff in here. I won't read through it all, but thank you guys. And yeah, this weekend, just be on the lookout on YouTube. I'm just going to post it probably a few hours, or I'll try to post it as long before the show as I can, but I don't have my days planned out over the weekend, but I'll make time and we'll do it.
Oh, one thing I would like to address, as far as the Bass people, mythical witches and principal characters in many stories, they're actually descendants of the Nephilim. And
really,
I do a whole
you've talked about the Bass with me.
Yeah,
before.
That's where the Jesuit order comes from.
Dude, like the first episode we did, didn't you talk about them?
Yeah, yeah. And it's this, and there's the Bass people are this language isolate culture, meaning they don't know where their language comes from. And it's a region within Spain, which, you know, started the Jesuit order. But I remember there was a country or a state or a city within this specific region, and I forget what the name was because I can't pronounce it. But the name literally means one whose language was broken. Going back to the Tower of Babel when God created all the nations. So these were the direct descendants of these, I believe, Nephilim.
Yeah, Ignatius Loyola. Yeah, he started the Jesuits. Fuck yeah, dude. Hey, thank you guys. We always like to put on a good show. This one felt like a bang. This one felt like a banger.
I loved it.
I don't know.
I loved it.
It felt like a banger. It felt like we fucking, I mean, dude, you may have to listen to it a couple times. I mean, I was reading a little fast. I read fast kind of, but information overload. There's a lot of good shit. I would listen. I would go back, dude. I think it was a banger. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Fuck those Jesuits. They created Islam, and now look, they're weaponizing it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. We'll see you guys over the weekend. Be on the lookout.
Awesome.
Peace out.